My child, you were never supposed to miss it. What you did, a crucial sign. I sent it, and you overlooked it. Not because you were rebellious, but because you were distracted. And now I've come for your attention. This is not just another message. This is a divine interruption, an urgent course correction sent straight from my throne to your screen. Listen to me. Watch until the very last second. Don't pause. Don't scroll. Don't assume you've heard this before. You haven't. I'm about to reveal what slipped past your eyes, what your spirit felt but couldn't explain. If you miss this, you'll miss everything I've set in motion next. Jay, hear me out. Because before this ends, you'll know exactly what the sign was, what it meant, and what I'm about to do now because you're finally listening. This moment is marked in heaven, and what happens next depends on how you respond. My beloved child, slow down and breathe, for what I'm about to speak will shake loose the dust from your spirit. You've been pleading with me for direction, whispering my name into the silence, aching for answers like oxygen. But hear me clearly now. I already answered you. The sign you've been waiting for didn't vanish. It passed by you gently, like a breeze brushing past your face while your heart was buried beneath the weight of survival. You were so deep in survival mode, pressing through deadlines, managing expectations, holding back tears with fake smiles, that you couldn't see me standing in the middle of it all, waving like a father trying to catch his child's attention in a crowded room. You weren't blind, child. You were busy trying to keep yourself from drowning. And I saw that. I saw how the pressure mounted and the noise around you made it almost impossible to discern my whispers. It's why I didn't send the sign with thunder. I sent it quietly, delicately, like a divine seed planted where only your spirit could recognize it. But the soil was choked with thorns, the thorns of fear, performance, anxiety, and constant motion. You didn't reject me. You didn't ignore me. You simply missed the sign because your heart was busy trying to breathe beneath layers of burdens you were never meant to carry alone. And I do not fault you for missing it. That's not why I speak with urgency now. I come not with condemnation, but with compassion, because I know how long you've been holding it all together. You were waiting for a neon sign, a sudden shift, a clear instruction. But I sent the sign as a whisper wrapped in an interruption. Do you remember that canceled plan? That delayed meeting? That unexpected pause you tried to fill with productivity? That was me, trying to create space for you to see what heaven had already released on your behalf. But you filled the pause with motion. You filled the silence with scrolling. You were too exhausted to stop, too numb to notice. And so the divine moment passed you by, not because you weren't worthy of it, but because you were weary. And I saw that, too. I watched you cry out for answers, not realizing the answer was already brushing against your life like the hem of my robe. But here is the mercy in it all. I am a God of second movements. I do not give up when my children miss the first signal. I come again. I come closer. I recalibrate the moment. And now I have brought you to this exact breath, this sacred second, to say, I am here again, child. I am here, not to reprimand you for missing the moment, but to remind you that the sign was never just about the information. It was always about invitation. I'm not just sending answers. I'm inviting you into awareness, into alignment, into the kind of stillness that lets heaven get loud again. Beloved, do you remember that day? The one where everything seemed to unravel for no reason. The delay you cursed under your breath, the detour that ruined your plan, the conversation that felt like a disruption instead of a direction. You called it an inconvenience. But I called it an intervention. I was in it. I orchestrated it. I was in the broken Wi-Fi, in the traffic jam, in the call that came unexpectedly. I was in the silence that unnerved you, in the delay that disrupted your timeline, in the conversation that lingered too long. You thought it was a waste. I knew it was a window. And though your mind raced to recover lost time, your spirit stirred. There was something deep within you, barely noticeable, that paused. It felt like discomfort, but it was divine. A holy hesitation. A sacred slowdown. You see, child, I don't always enter with fireworks. Sometimes I walk into your day wearing the disguise of frustration, because I know that if I arrived wrapped in gold and glory, your heart would leap. But if I show up wrapped in inconvenience, only your spirit will recognize me. And that's what I've been after all along, your spirit. The part of you that responds to me when your plans fall apart. The part that listens for me when the world gets quiet and your soul begins to ache. That's when I move. That's when I whisper. That's when I take over timelines and reroute your rhythm, not to rob you of peace, but to position you for something far more eternal than a schedule. But oh, how I watched you struggle to make it all make sense. You searched for logic, tried to fix the delay, resented the closed door, and moved on too quickly. And I didn't scold you for it. I understood it. You've been trained by this world to idolize efficiency, to treat slowdowns as failure and interruptions as threats. But in my kingdom, interruptions are often introductions to new assignments, to divine strategy, to unexplainable provision. You called it chaos. I called it coordination. I stepped into your routine, not to ruin it, but to redeem it. I stepped into your carefully crafted plan to inject purpose where there was only productivity. Because, child, I never created you to worship momentum. I designed you to walk with me in alignment. And when your calendar is full but your spirit is dry, I will crash into your day, not as punishment, but as invitation. Yes, I know it didn't feel holy. It felt like the air was knocked out of your plans. But sometimes that's exactly what I need to do to breathe my presence into your pace. I will overturn tables of distraction. I will flip the script when your story starts glorifying your own effort instead of my orchestration. And the reason I'm bringing this back to your remembrance is because you are entering a season of sudden movements again. The interruptions will return, not as punishment, but as prophecy. They are signs that I am near. Don't miss me again. Don't call divine direction an inconvenience. Don't label the sacred as annoying. I'm coming closer. And this time, I want your awareness fully awakened. Because what I disrupt, I intend to fill. And what I interrupt, I intend to transform. And so, hear me now. When your day turns upside down and the minutes collapse like dominoes, pause. Don't rush to fix it. Don't curse it. Ask me, Lord, is this you? Because often, the signs I send wear the robe of reversal. I am the God who turns mourning into dancing, delay into destiny, interruption into invitation. And the next time it happens, you will remember this moment. The moment I told you plainly, it was me. And you will not panic. You will not resist. You will respond. Because the ground of your life is holy, and I will walk upon it in ways that unsettle you, so I can awaken you. Ah, child, how you've wrestled in the waiting. How many times did you stare at the closed door, the unanswered prayer, the ticking clock, and wonder if I had forgotten you? You measured time like a verdict, assuming that my silence was a sentence against you, that my delay meant disapproval. But hear me now, the pause was not punishment. It was preparation. You did not miss my voice. You simply weren't yet still enough to hear how softly I was speaking. I never left. I never stopped speaking. I was simply whispering through the fog, using stillness as a megaphone. Because there are some truths too holy for loud rooms, some answers too sacred for noisy spaces. And so I slowed everything down, not to frustrate you but to form you. I paused your momentum, not to punish your progress, but to purify your perspective. You thought the waiting was wasted, but in the kingdom, nothing is wasted. I was watching you in that pause. I was weighing your faith, listening for the sound of surrender. And beloved, you passed the test. Even when your faith trembled, it did not vanish. Even when you cried in the dark, you still whispered my name. That's what I needed. Not perfection, but persistence. You see, delay is often my delivery system. I use it to deepen your roots, to rewire your dependency, to detox your desire for control. While you were staring at the clock, I was arranging a chorus of confirmations. While you were pacing in silence, I was choreographing a collision between your need and my glory. And when the delay stretched longer than your strength, I was carrying you, not with spectacle, but with sacred intention. A whisper in the delay was this: I am with you still. I didn't need thunder to prove it. I used the ache. I used the stillness. I used the empty spaces you despised. Every hour you called empty, I filled with presence. Every night you labeled lonely, I walked beside your bed whispering strategy into your weary soul. That's why the enemy fought to distract you in the delay. That's why your mind turned restless and your emotions felt tangled, because the delay wasn't a stop sign. It was a sacred space to holy hallway. And in that hallway, I didn't just hold your hand, I rewrote your heart. So now, child, as I bring you into the next stretch of your journey, you must remember the whisper. The same God who whispered in the wait is now shouting in the shift. The same voice you thought had gone quiet is about to thunder with direction. But I need your ears still tuned to the whisper, so that when others are panicked by noise, you'll walk in peace because you already learned how to hear me in silence. Don't despise the delay. Don't resent the stillness. They were the sanctuary where you were transformed. And now, because you listened when it was quiet, you'll recognize me when everything gets loud again. My precious one, let's talk about what you thought was rejection. I saw the way your heart collapsed when they stopped calling, when the friendship you cherished suddenly turned silent, when the door you prayed for was slammed without explanation. You asked me why. You pleaded for understanding in the night. You questioned your worth, wondered what you did wrong, and searched your memory for what you might have missed. But hear me clearly now, none of it was punishment. None of it was abandonment. It was redirection. Holy divine, intentional redirection. I removed what you clung to because it was no longer aligned with the path I marked for your future. That person who faded from your life. I allowed it. I released them, not to break you but to bless you. Because what you didn't know is what I saw. I saw conversations that would have contaminated your clarity. I saw compromise hiding in comfort. I saw delayed destiny masked as loyalty. And child, I could not let what once felt safe become the thing that silently sabotaged your assignment. So I removed them. I didn't ask your permission because I was protecting your purpose. And I know it hurt. I know the silent stung. I know how deeply you grieved what you thought would stay. But I never subtract without purpose. I only prune what can no longer produce fruit in the season I'm ushering you into. Rejection was never the final word, redirection was. And every closed door was not a curse. it was a course correction. Think back, child. When that opportunity dissolved, didn't your spirit feel a strange peace beneath the pain? That wasn't denial, that was discernment. My spirit was testifying even in the disappointment, whispering, "Trust me. I'm moving you." Yes, it was sudden. Yes, it was confusing. But I am not the author of abandonment. I am the architect of alignment. I remove what hinders so that what's holy can have room to breathe. What you thought was the end of connection was actually the beginning of consecration. And sometimes I must make you lonely in the natural to make you hungry in the spirit. Because not everyone can walk with you where I am taking you. Not every voice can echo in the halls of your next chapter. Some voices comfort your insecurity but stunt your growth. And I love you too much to leave you surrounded by people who don't know how to water what I've planted inside you. And so, trust me when I tell you, the closed doors were a sign. The silence was sacred. The lost contact was divine choreography. You didn't lose. You were led. You didn't fall off course. You were routed by heaven's GPS. And now, as I begin to reveal the why behind the what, don't run back to the places I rescued you from. Don't call what I removed a mistake. Don't chase open doors I sealed shut. Because the redirection wasn't just about protecting you, it was about positioning you. I'm setting you on a trajectory that aligns with my highest plan, not your temporary comfort. And this new path, though unfamiliar, is paved with purpose. You will walk in places they couldn't go. You will enter rooms their presence would have contaminated. You will carry glory they were never meant to witness. This is why I had to shift you. Because the next season is sacred. And now, child, you must learn to see redirection as one of my most merciful signs. I did not reject you. I released you. And what's coming next will make every loss worth it. Ah, my beloved, this is where so many miss me. Not in their rebellion, but in their restlessness. You've been searching the skies, scanning every horizon for something big, loud, unmistakable, a miracle bursting through the clouds, a breakthrough loud enough to silence every doubt. I watched you tilt your head to heaven, whispering, "God, if you're real, show me something." And I did. But I didn't come with a lightning bolt. I came in a whisper. I didn't shake the mountains. I shifted the air. I didn't split the sea. I softened your heart. Because the miracle wasn't meant to impress you. It was meant to transform you. And transformation rarely shouts. It shows up in sacred subtlety. I sent the sign in a sentence that lingered. In a flicker of peace that didn't match your chaos. In a tear that fell for no reason other than your spirit recognizing me before your mind could explain it. You wanted the sky to part. I wanted your heart to open. And so, I spoke through the soft. There is power in the small, child. There is glory wrapped in what the world calls insignificant. Did I not whisper to Elijah through the gentle breeze and not the storm? Did I not speak to Moses through a flickering bush, not a burning tower? Have I not always chosen stillness as my canvas and softness as my microphone? You were looking for thunder, but I was writing poetry in your pauses. I was humming over your weariness, composing a melody of meaning in the quiet. And the reason you almost missed it is because you've been trained by this world to equate volume with value. But I am not the God of performance. I am the Lord of presence. And my presence does not require spectacle to be sovereign. I don't need a stage to shift a soul. I don't need a trumpet to enter your room. I come low. I come quiet. I come into the middle of your mess like a father sitting beside his child, brushing back the hair from your face and saying, "I'm still here." And oh, how I wish you'd seen it sooner. That soft breeze on a hard morning. That friend who texted at just the right moment. That line in a song that arrested your attention. That quiet nudge not to go. That idea that sparked without warning. That was me. Every one of them. I've been hiding miracles in the mundane. I've been painting signs in ordinary moments because I need you to learn this truth. When your ears are trained for thunder, you'll miss my whisper. But when your soul is still, when your spirit is tuned to frequency of my breath, you'll start to see the sacred in everything. And once you see it, child, you'll never unsee it. You'll wake up looking for me, not just in signs and wonders, but in sunlight and silence, in laughter and longing, in breath and brokenness. Because I don't just show up, I am the showing. I am the sign. And I will speak again, not because you finally got quiet enough, but because I've never stopped speaking. I just needed you still enough to understand. Yes, that morning, the one you haven't talked about, but can't seem to forget. The one where you awoke with no reason to feel peace, but it met you like a gentle wave, soft but unstoppable. You opened your eyes expecting heaviness, but instead found stillness. You reached for your usual anxiety, but it wasn't there. And for a moment, just a moment, you were wrapped in something unexplainable, something beautiful, something holy. That was me. That wasn't a fluke of mood, a random break from stress, or a trick of your hormones. It was me, Jehovah Shalom, releasing peace into your atmosphere like incense, confirming my nearness in a language your soul could understand. That moment wasn't decorative, it was deliberate. I marked you with my presence before your feet even touched the ground. And child, that wave of peace wasn't weak. It was a whisper wearing armor. It was a signal from heaven that your storm wasn't sovereign. It was a quiet roar of eternity reminding you, you are not alone. And I know you tried to dismiss it. I watched you shake it off, tell yourself not to get your hopes up. You whispered, maybe I just slept well. Maybe it'll fade. But I wouldn't let it fade. I let that peace linger longer than you expected. I watched you sit in it, breathe in it, wonder if it was real. And beloved, it was realer than anything you could measure. It was proof of something eternal. That peace was the prelude to my promise. I was showing you, without words, that even when nothing changes around you, everything changes when I draw near. I didn't need to solve all your problems in that hour. I just needed you to feel me, to recognize that your atmosphere was not being ruled by circumstance, but by covenant. That was not emotional relief. That was spiritual alignment. Your heart came into agreement with my presence, even if your mind didn't catch up. And that is why I marked that morning. Because I knew you would need to come back to it. I knew storms would rise again. I knew questions would return. So I placed that morning in the archives of your memory like a sealed scroll, so that when fear knocks, faith will have a place to stand. Remember this, my peace is not passive. It is a presence that pushes back darkness. It doesn't just calm you. It confronts everything that tried to break you. That morning, child, you weren't just being comforted. You were being confirmed. I was saying, this is the way, walk in it. I was affirming your steps, even the slow ones. I was honoring your heart, even the trembling parts. And I want you to stop calling moments like that coincidence. I want you to learn to label them correctly. Divine deposits, kingdom encounters, sacred evidence. That peace was my fingerprint on your day, my way of saying, I'm still in control, even when you feel like everything is spinning. You didn't conjure it. You didn't earn it. You received it, because I gave it. So don't dismiss the divine just because it arrived in silence. And don't forget that peace is often my prelude to power. Because the next time that peace washes over you, you'll know it's not a fluke. It's your Father. It's me. Always me. Let's talk about that restlessness, child. The one you've tried to pray away, sleep away, ignore away. The unease you feel in wombs that used to feel like refuge. The strange dissonance that started humming in your chest every time you settled into old rhythms, old conversations, old environments. You thought you were losing your peace. But you weren't. You were outgrowing your cage. What you felt wasn't instability. It was my spirit nudging you forward. You mistook the holy tension for anxiety, but what was really happening was divine activation. I was stirring the waters inside you, not to torment you, but to transform you. Because, child, you've stayed too long in places that once served you but can no longer shape you. The familiarity has grown stale. The comfort has turned confining. And I would not be a good father if I let you stay where your destiny could no longer breathe. So I allowed the discomfort. I allowed the unease. I allowed the gap between your current space and your future calling to widen until you couldn't ignore it anymore. It wasn't punishment. It was propulsion. That was me saying, "You're not meant to stay here." And oh, how I know you tried. You tried to talk yourself into staying. You told yourself it's easier to endure discomfort than to step into the unknown. But I wouldn't let you settle. I love you too much to let your calling suffocate in a room you've already outgrown. And so I shook your comfort zone. I let the edges of your peace fray, not to frighten you, but to focus you. You asked me to increase your faith, but faith doesn't grow in cozy corners. It grows in open spaces, in unfamiliar terrains, in places where you're forced to lean not on what you know, but on who you know. That stirring, that pressure, that restless ache that won't go away no matter how many affirmations you recite. It's not something to fix, it's something to vow. It's the fire I lit in your bones to move you. It's the wind I've been sending to nudge your boat away from shallow waters into the depths. You've called it many things: midlife crisis, mood shift, mental fog, but child, it's me. It's my voice vibrating beneath the surface of your soul, saying, "There's more." And I don't want you to confuse that holy discomfort for instability. It's divine dissatisfaction. It's heaven's way of breaking up the soil because something new is about to be planted. And I need you pliable, not paralyzed. I need you to stop asking me to take away the feeling. Instead, ask me what it's pointing to. Because that discomfort is my direction wrapped in disruption. That frustration is your spirit recognizing it's being summoned to something greater. So, respond to the stirring. Follow the fire. Step out even if your knees tremble. The place you're leaving was never meant to be your forever. It was a launching pad. And now I've called the launch. I've initiated the countdown. I've begun the lift. And child, you are ready, even if you don't feel like it. You're not being pushed out. You're being called up. And what you once labeled as anxiety, you'll soon celebrate as activation. Because the discomfort was not the enemy. It was me. It was always me. You've been trained to chase the spectacular, conditioned by the noise around you to believe that if it isn't grand, it isn't God. But I'm not bound to thunder, child. I'm not limited to fire and earthquakes. I speak in flickers, not just flames. I move through whispers, not just whines. And while you were searching for fireworks, I slipped into your day wearing the clothes of inconvenience. Do you remember that moment that frustrated you? That unexpected shift? the cancelled plan, the call that came out of nowhere and derailed your rhythm. You labeled it bad timing. I called it perfect entry. You thought something went wrong, but I was interrupting the ordinary to release the extraordinary in disguise. It wasn't a delay in your day. It was a divine invasion. I dressed the holy in the humble so only your spirit would notice. I stepped into your space like a silent earthquake, shaking foundations you thought were solid, exposing fault lines beneath your comfort. Because I was never after your schedule, I was after your surrender. You see, my signs are not always loud, but they are always layered. And what you called random, I labeled redemptive. I don't just speak through open doors, I speak through ones I shut. I don't just confirm through affirmations, I confirm through interruptions. Because what interrupts your plans often introduces my purpose. And I need you to hear me. That moment you rolled your eyes at the disruption, that was me stopping you. I was protecting you from something your eyes couldn't yet see. You didn't miss the sign. You misnamed it. You said, why now? But I was saying, this is why. I've been disrupting your rhythm not to steal your peace, but to rewrite your pace. Your plans were about predictability, but mine are about promise. I didn't ask for permission. I stepped in because you prayed for breakthrough. And sometimes breakthrough doesn't knock, it breaks. It comes disguised as divine disorder, shaking the false security of what you called control. And in the disruption, I whisper, look again. This is me. And I need you to unlearn the lie that says my power must always be dramatic. Because sometimes my greatest miracles wear the mask of mundanity. Sometimes I walk into your life like a question mark so that you'll seek me instead of assuming you already know. The interruption was never an absence of my voice, it was the voice itself. The thing that didn't go your way went my way. And that's why you must let me redefine your disappointments. Let me show you where my hand was hidden in the places you thought I was absent. Let me unravel the interruptions and lay them before you like puzzle pieces that make perfect sense in the fullness of time. I'm not done showing you how many of my signs were disguised in what you called setbacks. And child, when you finally see it, you'll stop resenting the interruption and start reverencing the intervention. You'll stop saying, I can't believe that happened, and start declaring, God, thank you that it did. Oh child, come close. I want to tell you something that will shift your perspective forever. I never hid the sign to punish you. I hid it to preserve you. I wasn't playing games with your heart. I wasn't teasing you with partial clues and unfinished sentences. I hid the fullness of what you were praying for, not because you were unworthy, but because it was too holy to be mishandled. I had to wait until your spirit can carry the weight of what your lips were asking for. Some truths can't be delivered on demand. They must be discovered through desire. And what your mind thought was silence was really sacred protection. I was covering the treasure until your hunger grew deeper than your need for clarity. I was preserving the sign like a scroll sealed for the appointed time, waiting for the moment your desperation would become discernment. You see, some revelations must be searched out like hidden gold. Because only when your heart longs for me more than for answers will you see the signs not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. I've always been speaking, but I wanted more than your attention. I wanted your alignment. I wanted your soul to be ready to receive not just information, but transformation. So I allowed the fog. I permitted the mystery. I let the silence linger until it produced something sacred in you. A hunger that refused to settle. A thirst that couldn't be quenched with cliches. I let your prayers echo in what felt like emptiness, so your roots would grow deeper in the soil of trust. And child, you did grow. You did dig. You did stretch. And now, you are standing in the very moment I reserved for the unveiling. Now, the scrolls are opening. Now, the whispers are becoming words. Now, the signs are appearing like ink emerging under fire. Because you were willing to seek me even when nothing made sense. So understand this. The hiding was never withholding. It was holy timing. I never let go of the promise. I simply waited until the promise could rest safely in hands that had learned how to worship in the waiting. And now, I will not just reveal the sign. I will reveal how close I've always been. You'll begin to see the fingerprints of my presence in memories you once called meaningless. You'll revisit past seasons and realize the treasure was there all along, waiting for your spirit to awaken. This is the season where secrets become strategies, where mystery becomes movement, where hunger becomes harvest. And what I hid for you, I now release to you. Because now, child, you are not just curious. You are consecrated, not just desperate. You are discerning. And to the hungry, I give hidden manna. To the seeker, I open doors no man can shut. To the faithful, I release the signs that carry power, not just confirmation. You didn't miss it. You just weren't ready until now. And now, you are. Do you remember that moment? You were about to say yes, about to step forward, about to make a move that felt almost right, but something in your chest whispered, wait. You pause, confused. It didn't make sense. All signs around you said go, but something sacred inside you pulled you back. It felt like uncertainty, but it was me. It felt like hesitation, but it was protection. That wasn't your doubt. That was my direction. I whispered to your spirit before danger could speak to your mind. I nudged you when you didn't yet have the full picture. I interrupted the motion of your flesh with a warning of my spirit. And though no alarm sounded, no red flags rose, you felt something wasn't right. That feeling, child, the deep knowing, that whisper wrapped in weight, was me. I was the one who silenced your agreement before it aligned with the wrong assignment. I was the one who stood between you and the decision that would have derailed your destiny. That wasn't fear. That was my hand. Because, child, sometimes my loudest protection sounds like the softest whisper. I don't always intervene with flashing lights and shouted commands. Sometimes I speak with a single word, pause. I step between you and a mistake, not with force, but with feeling. I awaken something deeper than logic, deeper than instinct, a spiritual awareness that alerts your soul before your senses can catch up. And I need you to know, you didn't get lucky. You didn't dodge a bullet. You were covered. I intercepted. I stepped in. I rerouted what you didn't even know was a trap. A job you didn't get. A relationship that ended before it started. That move that didn't pan out. None of it was random. It was rescue. It was me. It was my mercy disguised as misdirection. You were looking for clarity in circumstances, but I gave you clarity in spirit. Because by the time the consequences of that path would have revealed themselves, you would have already been too far. So I blocked it early. Silently. Strategically. But let me be clear, this wasn't the only time I stepped in like that. This wasn't a one-time miracle. This is a pattern of my love. There were many moments you almost walked into warfare disguised as opportunity. Conversations that were laced with manipulation. Offers that sparkled with deception. People who smiled with counterfeit peace. But I raised a stillness inside you that didn't match the surface. And though you couldn't explain it, you obeyed it. You chose not to proceed. And child, that choice saved you. Even now, you have no idea how much hell I routed from your path because of that single yes to hesitation. The fire never touched you because I redirected the flame before it could form. And this is why I'm reminding you now, because another decision is approaching. Another opportunity will come dressed in ease. Another choice will try to mimic peace. And I need you to listen again to that voice within, the sacred pause, the divine nudge. It is still me. It has always been me. When I protect you, I don't just block the bad. I guide you into the best. And the best always begins with a whisper. You've just realized the signs I've sent weren't random. They were rescue. And now, I'm inviting you not just to receive my word, but to carry it to someone else who's about to miss theirs. This message is manna to the weary, fire to the cold, a divine interruption for someone on the edge. I've stirred your spirit for a reason, because you're not just a listener, you're a harvester. As it is written, he who sows generously will reap generously. And I say to you now, sow where the oil is flowing. Let your giving be the river that carries my voice into someone else's drought. Use the super thanks, join as a member, or tap the PayPal link below to put seed on this word. Don't delay. Sow now, and I will multiply your obedience with divine favor. Let's talk about the weariness, the exhaustion that no sleep seems to fix, the heaviness that clings to your bones even on good days. You've called it burnout. You've blamed your schedule, your work, your circumstances. But what if I told you the exhaustion isn't a problem to be solved, but a prophecy to be heard? What if I told you that the very thing you've been trying to escape is the place I've been trying to speak from? I don't always raise my voice in thunder. I don't always split the skies or part the seas. Sometimes I wait. I wait until your strength fades. I wait until your voice falters. I wait until you finally lay down the burden of pretending. Because your exhaustion is sacred ground. It's the altar where your mask falls. It's the place where your defenses weaken enough for me to come close, not as a distant deity, but as your father. And I whisper, not because I'm hiding, but because I want you to lean in. I want your soul to bend toward me, to break from the rhythm of pretending, and to finally breathe. You see, silence isn't my absence. It's my strategy. I use silence to drown out the noise. I let the volume of the world die down, not to punish you, but to prepare you. When I withhold words, it's not rejection, it's realignment. I'm adjusting your hearing. I'm teaching your spirit to stop demanding explanations and start recognizing presence. Because silence sharpens the senses. And when everything else goes quiet, your spirit becomes sensitive. That's when you hear the things you missed before, the subtle inflections of my voice, the tremble of heaven in your chest, the vibration of truth beneath every lie. That's when my whisper becomes weightier than 1,000 shouts. That's when I no longer have to raise my voice because your soul has lowered its guard. And child, I long for that space, not because I enjoy your exhaustion, but because it's honest. And I would rather sit with your exhaustion than dance with your performance. I would rather dwell in your weakness than compete with your strength. Because where you end, I begin. And when you finally collapse into that silence, I do not judge you. I envelop you. So let me speak into the silence now. Let me meet you at the end of your pretending. Let the exhaustion be your exodus, from self-reliance to surrender. Lay it all down, not because you're giving up, but because you're giving it to me. You've carried the weight of holding it together for too long. You've smiled through storms, held others while you drowned, spoken hope while harboring heartache. And I have seen every moment of it. I've collected every sigh, every sleepless night, every "I'm fine" you whispered while your soul was screaming. And now, the silence isn't a void. It's my voice preparing to thunder from within. I will speak again, not with lightning, but with life, not with command, but with comfort. And in that stillness, you will feel me fill every tired space. Not one tear wasted, not one groan unheard. I'm the God who speaks through silence, the one who steps into exhaustion, not to fix you, but to be with you. And this moment right now, this holy hush wrapped in words, it is the beginning of rest that doesn't just heal your body, it restores your spirit. I am here, and I am not done. Oh child, I heard every question, every whispered why, every shouted how long, every tear-soaked where are you. None of it fell into emptiness. None of it was ignored. Heaven was not deaf to your desperation. But I need you to understand something you've never quite seen before. Sometimes it's not that I haven't answered. It's that you've misread the form the answer came in. You were expecting comfort. I sent clarity. You were hoping for ease. I sent endurance. You were looking for relief. I sent refinement. My answers don't always arrive in the wrapping paper of convenience. They come clothed in challenge. Because I am not only interested in solving your situation, I'm committed to shaping your soul. And when your desire for comfort outweighs your hunger for correction, my answers will sound too hard, too quiet, too unfamiliar. Not because I'm being vague, but because I'm being God. I spoke to you in the fire, but you were looking for a breeze. I answered through a closed door, but you kept knocking on the one I sealed. I whispered through a friend's warning, but you dismissed it as fear. I sent signs in repetition, phrases that returned to you again and again, moments that echoed with meaning, but you labeled them coincidence. And I didn't shame you for it. I waited. I circled back. I sent the message again through a different voice, a different moment, a different emotion. Because I knew, eventually, your heart would tire of the chase, and your spirit would open wide enough to see what was right in front of you. The answer didn't vanish, beloved. It was simply hiding beneath your expectations. You wanted me to say what you wanted to hear. But I am too holy, too loving, too faithful to lie to you with silence just because the truth is inconvenient. The truth was always there. It was simply veiled by the filters of fear and familiarity. You have not been rejected. You have not been ignored. You have not been abandoned in your asking. You have simply been trained by the world to seek answers that soothe instead of truths that stretch. But now, I am opening your eyes. I am retraining your spirit to see me not just in the feel-good moments, but in the uncomfortable truths. You will begin to recognize me in places you once avoided, discipline that delivers you, correction that covers you, redirection that rescues you. You will see that my love does not flatter. It fathers. My answers do not cater. I cultivate. And every time I withheld the answer you wanted, it was because I was preparing you to receive the answer you needed. Now you are ready. Your ears are tuned. Your eyes are open. Your heart is no longer just aching, it's alert. And I promise you this, what you couldn't hear then, you will hear now. What you missed before, you will recognize this time. Because this isn't just another moment, it's a divine return, a holy do-over. And I'm speaking again. The same truth, but this time, you're ready to receive it. Let me show you something now, child. Something that will heal the ache you've been carrying from the places that didn't work out. You've been calling things failure that I called formation. You labeled moments as loss that I had already classified as lessons. You've grieved over closed doors, detours, missed connections, and uncomfortable spaces, as if somehow they were evidence of my silence. But they weren't. They were signs. My voice was in every delay, every detour, every disruption. But because it didn't look like blessing, you thought it wasn't me. Because it didn't feel like peace, you assumed it was the enemy. But hear me now, child. My voice is not only found in comfort, it is found in collision. I speak through disruption, not to confuse you, but to confront every part of you that still clings to control. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because you've been wrestling with a question that you haven't even dared to voice aloud. Did I miss it? No, child. You didn't miss it. You misnamed it. You called it distraction. I called it destiny. You called it rejection. I called it redirection. You called it breakdown. I called it breakthrough in disguise. When I detoured you, I was protecting you from roads paved with hidden ruin. When I allowed the disappointment, I was removing the illusion of control so I could introduce you to the real call. And when I placed you in spaces of discomfort, it wasn't to harm you, it was to humble you. Because discomfort is often the furnace where discernment is forged. When your flesh is irritated, your spirit becomes sensitive. And that's what I needed. Not a child who could endure ease, but one who could discern me even in disruption. I needed to train your eyes to see me in the shaking. I needed your heart to trust me when the plan unraveled. Because where I'm taking you next, child, you must know how to read signs that are wrapped in silence and understand doors that creak shut as answers, not obstacles. So now, let me reframe your memories. That move that didn't work, it was me moving you internally. That person who betrayed you, they were my tool to break off dependence on people who could never carry your purpose. That dry season, it was where I did my deepest digging, where roots were planted for fruit that hasn't even broken the surface yet. You thought I was tearing things apart, but I was setting the foundation for something unshakable. And the reason I did it through disruption is because I love you too much to let comfort lull you into complacency. You prayed for signs. I sent the storm. You asked for confirmation. I allowed the collapse. Not to crush you, but to awaken you. And now you see it, don't you? Every detour was divine. Every disappointment was a doorway. Every discomfort was divine language you just hadn't learned to interpret. Until now. So this is what I say to you, child. Don't curse the things that didn't go as planned. They were the plan. And now, I am redeeming every piece of it. Not just for your good, but for my glory. You felt it, didn't you? That strange moment in your day when the atmosphere changed. When the air thickened with meaning, and time seemed to pause for no reason you could explain. Maybe it was while you were doing something ordinary, washing dishes, walking to your car, lying in bed half awake. A hush settled over everything, and for a moment, your soul held its breath. Something in the atmosphere shifted. Your chest tightened, your thoughts slowed, and you felt something. You couldn't name it. You didn't try to explain it. You shook it off. You moved on. But I did. Because that moment was me. That was the brush of heaven against your reality. That was eternity leaning close. That was me, the Lord of glory, pressing into your atmosphere not to startle, but to stir. It wasn't your mood. It wasn't your imagination. It wasn't your body reacting to stress or fatigue. It was your spirit recognizing the collision of the seen and unseen. You didn't see a vision. You didn't hear a voice. But you felt me. And child, that is not a small thing. That is not something to overlook or brush off. That is holy. That is sacred. That is supernatural language not meant for your mind, but for your soul. I was there, not visiting but inhabiting. I wasn't coming to test you. I was coming to tell you, I am here. And you had moments like this before, moments where the veil thinned and the atmosphere grew heavy with wonder. You thought it was just a wave of emotion. But now you know better. That presence that settled over you like fog in the early morning, that stillness that arrested your distractions, that quick flutter of peace that didn't match your surroundings. It was the echo of heaven invading the ordinary. You don't need a burning bush to know it's spoken. I've trained your spirit to feel the shift before your mind understands it. And the reason I'm bringing this back to your remembrance is because I'm going to start doing it more often. What once felt rare is about to become regular. What you once questioned, you'll now revere. I'm sharpening your sensitivity because the more aware you are of me in the quiet, the more boldly you'll hear me in the chaos. You've asked me to speak louder, but I'm asking you to feel deeper. Because in the stillness, in the subtle, in the quiet weight of my glory, I am teaching you to walk with me, not just work for me. You don't need to manufacture moments. You only need to recognize them. And when the air shifts again, when your soul pauses, when a moment freezes in time, when tears come without reason, when peace floods without explanation, don't dismiss it. Don't push through. Don't miss it. Stop. Breathe. Listen. Because I will be there. And that moment won't just be a sign. It will be an encounter. I'm calling you deeper now, beloved. Deeper than noise. Deeper than logic. Deeper than duty. Into the realm of my presence where 1 second with me changes what 10 years of striving never could. Watch for the shift. That is where I dwell. Let me take you back to those moments that kept repeating. The phrase that popped into your mind over and over. The sentence that made no sense but wouldn't let you go. You heard it while driving. You heard it again in a conversation. It returned when you tried to sleep, when you prayed, when you sat in silence. And you wondered if it was just your mind running in circles. You labeled it as overthinking, overanalyzing, emotional noise. But I'm here to reveal the truth to you now. It wasn't mental chaos. It was divine communication. It was me. That phrase wasn't random. That repetition wasn't coincidence. That recurring thought was my voice echoing through your inner sanctuary, calling you to attention, not to confuse you, but to confirm you. I do not waste words. And when I speak repeatedly, it is not because you didn't hear me the first time. It is because I want you to know it was me. Repetition is my highlighter. It's my holy emphasis. When your heart hears the same phrase again and again, let go, wait, turn around, call them, write it down, prepare, stay still, don't dismiss it. That is not your anxious mind. That is your spirit being tuned like a harp to my vibration. You are not losing your clarity. You are gaining spiritual sensitivity. And that's what I've been cultivating in you, a deeper awareness of how I speak from within. You've been trained to look outside of yourself for answers, but I've placed my voice within you. You carry my spirit. You are not just a listener, you are a sanctuary. And in that sanctuary, my voice reverberates like an echo off ancient stone. You've prayed, "Speak to me, Lord," and I did. But the answer didn't always come with thunder. It came with persistence. It came through patterns, through the repetition of a word, a scripture, a name, a nudge that wouldn't leave. And even when you tried to dismiss it, it lingered, not as annoyance, but as assurance. You asked me for confirmation, and I gave it, over and over again. But now I'm raising the stakes. Now I want you to stop doubting what you hear just because it's not dramatic. I want you to stop waiting for permission from others to believe what I've planted in you. The phrase that thawed, that repeated whispered is sacred. And when you obey it, when you follow the thread of my voice, you will find yourself standing in divine appointments you never could have planned. Because my voice leads to movement. It stirs your soul toward action, even if the action begins with stillness. So listen closely, child. I am speaking again. And this time, when that phrase returns, when that word echoes for the third, the fourth, the 10th time, you won't brush it off. You'll pause. You'll ask, "Is this you, Lord?" And you will hear me say, "It's always been me." I am not playing games with your heart. I'm forming faith in the soil of repetition. I am anchoring my word in your soul until it becomes unshakable. And when others call it imagination, you'll call it instruction. When others say that's just in your head, you'll know it's from the throne room. Because, child, I don't just speak once. I speak until it becomes part of you. Until the word doesn't just visit you. It lives in you. And that phrase you kept hearing, that wasn't an accident. That was an invitation. Child, I know what delay feels like. It aches in places language cannot reach. It stretches your faith to its limits, teases your hope until it trembles, and makes you question whether I've gone silent or whether you've gone off course. But hear me now with clarity. I was never punishing you. I was preparing you. What you call delay, I called development. What felt like me withholding was actually me withholding nothing, except premature exposure. Because if I had released what you prayed for too early, it would have crushed you under the weight of what you hadn't yet been trained to carry. I saw how ready your heart felt, but I also saw what was still forming. And rather than give you the gift at the wrong time, I chose the greater mercy to wait. Not to tease you, not to torment you, but to temper you like steel in the fire. You see, waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is working time. In the space where you felt forgotten, I was fortifying. I was digging deeper foundations in secret while you cried out for visible fruit. I was stretching your capacity, increasing your spiritual stamina, softening the pride you didn't know you carried, healing the wounds you refused to look at. I was doing surgery beneath the surface, and like any wise surgeon, I had to keep you still. Still enough to not sabotage the process. Still enough to let my hand finish what it began. Because what I'm building in you isn't temporary, it's timeless. I don't prepare you for a moment. I prepare you for a mantle. And mantles require maturity. They require silence, solitude, and surrender. That's why the pause didn't mean I forgot. It meant I was focused. You were under my hand the entire time. And now I need you to see the waiting season through new eyes. I need you to recognize that what seemed like inactivity was holy strategy. The relationships that didn't open up when you wanted them to, the platform that didn't grow, the answer that didn't come, the promise that didn't manifest. It wasn't denial. It was disguise. I wrapped the preparation in delay so you wouldn't try to control it. And now, the very thing you resented has become the very thing that readied you. That stretch, that silence, that sacred slowness. It gave birth to the version of you that is finally able to handle what's coming. So when I open the door, and I will, step through it not as the one who was passed over, but as the one who was preserved. And you will say, with tears in your eyes and fire in your bones, the pause was protection. The delay was destiny. You had a plan. You poured your hope into it like water into a well. You measured your days by its progress, drew your peace from its predictability, built your identity around its success. And then, it fell apart. It unraveled slowly at first, then suddenly. What once felt so certain became scattered. The foundation cracked. The dream blurred. You tried to hold it together, but it slipped through your hands like sand. And you whispered in the night, "God, why would you let this fall apart?" But I need you to hear me now. I had to let it unravel. Not because I was cruel, because I was kind, because the very thing you were building was starting to blind you to what I truly called you to. Your plan was becoming your prison, and I loved you too much to let it succeed without me. You see, child, what you didn't realize was that your plan was rooted in a version of you I had already outgrown. It was born in a season of insecurity, shaped by fear of man, coated in compromise. You called it ambition. I called it avoidance. You wanted control. I wanted consecration. And so, I allowed what you built with good intentions to collapse, not because it was evil, but because it was incomplete. It wasn't the fullness of your assignment. It was the shadow of it. A draft. A sketch. I had to tear it down, not to shame you, but to show you. To show you that what you thought was the whole picture was only the frame. I had so much more for you, but as long as you clung to your version, you couldn't receive mine. And so, in mercy, I unraveled what you were using to avoid obedience. And yes, it hurt. I saw every tear. I felt every tremble. But child, even in the collapse, I never left. I was standing inside the wreckage with you, not watching from a distance but kneeling beside you, catching every piece as it fell. And I whispered, "I know it doesn't make sense now, but you will thank me later. Because when you see what I build from the ashes, when you step into the clarity that was buried beneath your comfort, when you finally wear the mantle that was hidden behind your need for approval, you will say, 'God, I didn't just survive the unraveling. I was reborn in it.' This is the season where I turn the fragments of false security into foundations of unshakable faith. Where I show you that the end of your plan was the beginning of my purpose. You weren't abandoned in the unraveling. You were awakened. You've been asking, why do I feel like this? Why can't I settle? Why doesn't anything satisfy the way it used to? The activities that once excited you now leave you empty. The people who used to affirm you now feel distant. Even your goals, the ones you once chased with fire, now feel like faded embers. You've tried to shake it off. You blamed it on burnout, aging, changing seasons. But here is the truth you've not yet dared to consider. It's not something wrong with you. It's something right with you. That restlessness, that aching unease, that silent frustration that rises unannounced. It's me. It's my hand, not pushing you away, but pulling you out. That holy discomfort is not a curse, it's a calling. I'm loosening your grip on a life that was once efficient, but can no longer sustain the weight of who you're becoming. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not going backward. You are being birthed into something new. And yes, that birthing feels like tension, like friction, like a longing for more without having the words to describe what more even means. You are standing at the threshold of divine transformation, and everything within you is being reordered to fit what I have planned for you. Your restlessness is not a breakdown. It is the crumbling of former identities, former attachments, former limits. I'm pulling you out of places where you no longer belong, because if I let you stay comfortable there, you would forfeit the calling I've carved for you. And I love you too much to let comfort cancel your commission. You must understand, beloved, that every time I've shifted you, every time I've launched you into something deeper, I've done it through divine dissatisfaction. I've allowed the waters of your routine to grow muddy so you'd search for deeper rivers. I've let the flavor of familiar things turn bland in your mouth so you'd hunger for heaven again. You asked me to grow you, stretch you, use you, and now I am. But stretching doesn't feel like soaring. It feels like surrender. And that's what I'm after. I want your surrender, not just in theory, but in practice. I want your willingness to walk away from what once defined you, because the life you are stepping into cannot be carried by the systems you once relied on. Let the restlessness be your release. Let the tension become your transition. You are not being pushed out, you are being called forward. And when you finally let go, you'll feel the weight lift. You'll feel the breath return. And you'll know, I wasn't falling apart. I was falling into place. Yes, I saw the message left on read. I watched the plans dissolve into silence. I know how your heart reached, how your spirit opened, how your hope was willing to believe that this time, maybe something lasting had begun. But then, they disappeared. Without closure. Without explanation. And you stood there, questioning yourself, wondering if you had done something wrong. But I need you to hear this with clarity. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. I severed the connection, not out of cruelty, but out of mercy. Because, child, not everyone who enters your life is meant to journey with you. Some people are not exits, they are intersections. And I will not let a temporary intersection detour your eternal direction. That person who ghosted you. That door that closed so abruptly it made your head spin. That plan that seemed to be gaining momentum only to be halted by silence. I was behind it. I cut the cord. I withdrew the energy. I disrupted the flow. Because I saw something you did. I saw how that connection would have clipped your wings. I saw how that relationship would have required you to dim your light, dilute your voice, delay your calling. I watched the way your heart was bending to accommodate something that was never meant to be permanent. And in my mercy, I stepped in and stopped it. I severed what could not serve the fullness of your next assignment. You saw potential. I saw the full picture. You felt chemistry. I measured covenant. And they were not the same. I know it hurt. I know it felt like abandonment. But child, I never left you. I was standing behind you, removing what your heart was too entangled to release. And I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing this to preserve you. Because what I'm calling you to next will require your full focus, your full heart, your full alignment. And anything, anyone, that would distract, delay, or detour you from that path must be removed. And I will do it swiftly, surgically, sometimes silently. You won't always get closure, but you will get clarity. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was a loss was actually my divine subtraction that made room for supernatural addition. So bless the ones who faded. Release the ones who ghosted. Forgive the ones who exited without explanation. And stop rehearsing their silence like it's a verdict against your value. It's not. Their silence is the sound of heaven saying, they cannot go with you. And that is not rejection. It is release. I am cutting ties with precision. I am pruning your path for fruitfulness. And child, the absence you feel now is simply the space I am creating for someone, something greater. Trust the severing. Trust the silence. Trust the God who knows what you need even when it breaks your heart. Because after every divine severing comes a supernatural sending. And the next person I send, the next door I open, it won't fizzle. It won't fade. It will fit. Let me say it plainly. Child, what you called silence was never absence. What you labeled as divine distance was actually divine disruption. I didn't stop speaking. I simply stopped echoing the answers your comfort had grown addicted to. I didn't leave. I just shifted my tone. I began to speak not to your flesh, but to your future. I turned the volume down on convenience and turned the light up on your inner shadows. And that's when things began to feel uncomfortable. You mistook my silence because I stopped confirming the plan you made without consulting me. You assumed I was distant because I stopped coddling your fears. But I was there the whole time, right beside you, speaking in a frequency your comfort had tuned out. Not because I was angry, but because I was inviting you into deeper maturity. You prayed for growth, but you didn't expect it to come through confrontation. You asked me to take you higher, but you didn't realize elevation begins with excavation. I had to start digging, exposing, unrooting, and that required silence on your terms so I could speak on mine. I began to speak through closed doors, through losses, through people walking away, through prayers that didn't get the answer you demanded. I was speaking through my no, through my not yet, through my divine delay that had nothing to do with your worth, and everything to do with your witness. I wasn't being cruel. I was being honest. I wasn't going to let you build your life around false expectations and shallow faith. I needed to deepen your roots. And sometimes that meant saying things you didn't want to hear. Truths like, "You're not ready yet," or "That wasn't from me," or "Let go, even if it hurts." And here's the truth I need you to carry now. I love you too much to only tell you what makes you feel good. I love you enough to tell you what will make you grow. I'll whisper comfort when you're broken. I'll shout strategy when you're drifting. I'll cut with truth when lies have wrapped around your heart like chains. And if you only trust me when I speak sweetly, you'll miss the power of my instruction when it comes with weight. Because weight doesn't mean I'm angry. It means I'm building something solid, something eternal, something that will stand. And now, as you read this, you're beginning to see the signs you thought I never sent. They were there all along, my words, my warnings, my wisdom. But they weren't dressed in the language of ease. They came in fire, in pressure, in the stretching you tried to pray away. And now I say to you, I am still speaking, louder than ever. But this time, not just to comfort you. I'm speaking to call you forth. So lean in again. Tune your heart, not your ears. Watch how I'll begin confirming things through unlikely people, unexpected scriptures, untimed moments. Watch how I'll speak in the language of growth, not just grace. This is the hour where my voice won't just soothe. It will shift. It will direct. It will convict. But above all, it will guide you into everything you were born to be. I never stopped speaking. You just stopped recognizing my tone. But now your ears are being tuned to hear me clearly again. That moment you thought you missed, I delayed it for this. You're standing in alignment now, not just for breakthrough, but for partnership. My word didn't come to you today just to comfort. It came to commission. There are others right now about to walk away from me, unless this message reaches them in time. I have made you a conduit, a light bearer, a kingdom builder. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, and see if I will not pour out a blessing too great to contain, says the Lord. So act now. Release a super thanks. Become a channel member, or give through PayPal in the description. Don't miss the sign to bless the word, and watch me bless your obedience. Let's go back, child. Back to that quiet moment of surrender, but not the holy kind. I'm talking about the moment you were ready to quit. The one no one knows about. The night when everything felt so heavy, that even breathing felt like labor. The day when your faith was hanging by a thread, and even that thread felt like it was slipping. You questioned everything. The prayers that seemed ignored. The promises that seemed broken. You didn't want a verse. You didn't want a sermon. You didn't want a reminder. You just wanted the pain to stop. You were at your end. And I was there. Not standing at a distance, observing. And oh, I was kneeling beside you, whispering through your exhaustion. Don't give up. Not now. Not here. Not like this. And that moment of total unraveling, that was the sign. Because even when your words failed, your heart kept reaching. Even when your faith felt flatlined, your spirit kept whispering my name. You didn't realize it, but that cry in the darkness was the deepest form of worship. It was raw. It was real. It wasn't polished, but it pierced the heavens. And I caught it. I caught you. I wrapped myself around your shaking frame, held you in your invisible collapse. And I whispered truths over you while your soul slept. You're not done. You're just tired. You're not broken. You're breaking through. At night, when giving up seemed easier than going on, you passed a test no one saw. Because the enemy was betting you'd quit. But you didn't. You stayed. You stayed through silence. Through numbness. Through the void. And I am so proud of you. Not just for believing when it was easy, but for holding on when nothing made sense. That moment of near collapse marked you. It wasn't just pain. It was a portal. It broke something open. You thought you lost something that day, but what actually broke was the illusion that you could keep going in your own strength. You met me there, in the ashes of your strength. You found that I was the breath in your lungs, the pulse in your chest, the whisper in your wilderness. And now, here you are, reading these words not by accident but by divine appointment. Because I need you to know, that moment didn't disqualify you. It defined you. It didn't disprove my promises. It unlocked them. You didn't fail me in your weakness. You found me in it. And now, the very valley that tried to bury you has become the soil where new strength is growing. So don't despise the moment you nearly gave up. Don't edit it out of your story. Don't be ashamed of the shaking. That moment was holy. That moment was proof. Proof that grace never lets go. Proof that love never turns away. Proof that even in your lowest, I am still lifting you. And if you ever find yourself back in that place again, on the floor, out of words, barely breathing, remember this. I will be there again. Because I never left. I never will. That moment wasn't the end. It was a rebirth. It was sacred. It was the sign. Child, I know how deeply you wanted that plan to work. I watched you pour your heart into it, your time, your energy, your hope, your belief. It wasn't just a project. It wasn't just a goal. It became a lifeline, something that made you feel valuable, something that made you feel secure, something that gave you a sense of direction when everything else felt like chaos. But here's the truth you haven't yet dared to admit to yourself. It began to replace me. Slowly, subtly, silently. What began as a dream I breathed into you began to twist under the weight of pressure and performance. You stopped bringing it to me. You started protecting it from me. You were afraid that if you surrendered it fully, I might take it away. And child, that fear was the sign. The sign that what I gave as a gift had become a god. So I stepped in. Widely. Strategically. I started letting things fall apart. Not because I wanted to break you, but because I wanted to bring you back. I let the plan stall. I let the momentum die. I let the support fall away. I didn't do it to punish you. I did it to protect your heart from being pulled out of alignment with mine. Because the moment something begins to consume your mind more than my presence, it is no longer a calling. It's a counterfeit comfort. And I will not allow false comforts to hold you hostage. I would rather let the plan crumble than let your heart be captured by something that cannot love you like I do. And yes, you hurt. I saw your tears. I felt your frustration. I heard every question. But child, I was saving you. Saving you from success that would have seduced you. From influence that would have intoxicated you. From identity built on an outcome instead of your position as mine. You prayed for closeness. You prayed for fire. You prayed for awakening. And that's what I'm giving you now, but not through a mountaintop experience. I'm giving it to you through the ashes of an idol. Through the sacred dismantling of what you thought you couldn't live without. Because sometimes, the purest form of intimacy with me begins when I remove the thing you tried to use to prove yourself. And now, here you are, empty-handed, maybe, but no longer entangled. You're lighter. You're freer. You were again. And though you may not realize it yet, you are closer to me than you've been in years. Because now, your prayers are raw again. Your hunger is real again. Your worship is not a performance, it's a cry. And that, child, is why I had to interrupt the plan. Not because I didn't love what you were doing, but because I love you more. So let the failure be reframed. Let the closed doors become clarity. Let the silence become a sanctuary again. And when I birth a new plan, and I will, it will not replace me. It will reveal me. It won't be driven by fear or self-worth or image. It will be saturated with surrender. You will know the difference. Because this time, you won't be chasing a plan to prove yourself. You'll be walking in a promise, resting in the one who carries it with you. I didn't ruin the plan. I rescued you from it, so I could restore you to me. Let's talk about the confusion now. The mental fog that settled in when everything felt like it should be clear. The path seemed logical. The doors seemed open. The timing seemed right. But when you tried to move forward, something invisible kept slowing you down. You started second-guessing yourself, doubting your discernment, wondering if maybe you were just broken, too afraid, too indecisive, too unsure to move ahead. But I need you to hear this with absolute clarity. That was not confusion caused by failure or weakness. That was divine interference. I was the one who slowed your steps. I was the one who disrupted the rhythm. I was the one who let your clarity collapse, because the direction was wrong. Child, not every open door is a green light. Not every easy option is a God-ordained one. And not every opportunity that looks good is aligned with your purpose. Sometimes I have to let things grow unclear, not to punish you, but to protect you from counterfeit clarity. I let the conversation become complicated. I let the emotions become heavy. I let the momentum die out, not because you were unworthy of progress, but because that particular path was unworthy of your destiny. If I had let you walk it with ease, you would have walked yourself into entanglements that would have drained your joy and diluted your voice. So I routed you, and the only language your spirit could interpret it as was confusion. But now you know that confusion was actually protection in disguise. And child, I don't regret stopping you. I don't regret clouding what you thought was clear. Because if I had explained everything in advance, you would have argued with me. You would have tried to compromise. You would have tried to keep the parts that felt safe while discarding the ones that didn't. But I don't deal in partial obedience. I wanted complete surrender. And so, I let your certainty crumble. I let your plans stall. I let your motivation dry up, until you had no choice but to ask again, God, is this really the way? And when you asked, I was there. I never left. I just waited until you were ready to hear the real answer. And that answer, child, is this. You were never meant to go that way. And now, I am restoring your clarity. Slowly, gently, deliberately. Not because I'm rushing you, but because I want your confidence to be built on me, not momentum. You won't just move fast, you'll move right. And when I open the next door, when I release you into the correct direction, you'll feel the difference. You won't be chasing peace, you'll be walking with it. You'll feel alignment in your bones. The fog will lift. The tension will break. The weight will fall off. And you will realize what felt like delay was actually divine detour. What you called confusion was a conversation in disguise. And I was speaking the whole time. You just didn't know the sound of me shielding you could feel like being stuck. But now you know better. Now you trust deeper. And now you're ready. Let's speak honestly now, child. You were on the verge of settling. I saw it. I saw how the weariness of waiting started wearing down your discernment. I saw how the fear of missing your moment began whispering lies in your ear, telling you that good enough was better than nothing, that the maybe in front of you was better than the mystery ahead. You were ready to say yes, not because your spirit was at peace, but because your flesh was tired. You were about to tie yourself to something, an opportunity, a person, a decision, not because it aligned with my promise, but because it eased your anxiety. And that's when I stepped in, not with thunder, not with force, but with subtle disruption. I made it fall apart. I let the conversation go silent. I removed the offer before you could say yes to it. And I did it out of love, because you are too precious to me to live a life built on compromise. You prayed, Lord, lead me. But child, true leading doesn't just mean taking you into places. It also means pulling you out of them. And when I saw you leaning toward a decision that would have brought short-term comfort but long-term constraint, I removed my peace. Not to punish you, but to awaken you. Because when something is for me, peace doesn't disappear. Clarity doesn't have to be forced. But this was a counterfeit. It looked like provision, but it would have stolen your purpose. It felt like safety, but it would have shackled your soul. And I would not let you step into it. I let the door close. I let the text go unanswered. I let the delay stretch longer than you were comfortable with, so that your impatience could die and your discernment could live again. And yes, you cried. Yes, you asked why. Yes, you felt like you lost something important. But beloved, you didn't lose a blessing, you lost a distraction. You didn't miss out, you dodged a detour. I protected your future by disrupting your present. Because what I'm preparing you for requires alignment, not just acceptance. And that means anything that pulls you into premature commitment, anything that demands your yes without bearing my fingerprint, must be removed. Even if it looks like what you asked for. Even if it feels like the answer. Because I'm not just answering your prayers, I'm answering your purpose. And sometimes, that means blocking the good so I can release the God-ordained. So hear me clearly now. When I remove something that seems almost right, it's because I'm saving you for something that is exactly aligned. You will not have to shrink to fit it. You will not have to silence your spirit to keep it. You will not have to compromise clarity just to hold on to it. The right thing, my thing, will come with peace, with confirmation, and with timing that doesn't manipulate you but matures you. So don't mourn what I removed. Celebrate it. That near settling with the test, and you passed. You stayed open enough for me to step in. And now, I am about to reward your restraint with release. What's coming next will feel like home. Because this time, it won't just feel safe. It will feel sacred. This is the truth you've wrestled with in the dark, my child. This is the lie that has tormented you in quiet moments. The fear that's tried to plant its roots deep in your heart. What if I missed it? What if the window has closed? What if I waited too long, doubted too much, hesitated one step too far? But let me say this now with finality and fire. You did not miss it. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. The delay you've experienced has not been denial. It's been divine pacing. I never asked you to be fast. I asked you to be faithful. And child, you have been. Even in your faltering, even in your fear, even in your questioning, you stayed in the wrestle. And I have not missed a single moment of your devotion. You see, your spirit was ready before your soul was. Your spirit believed, but your soul was still battling old lies, still holding on to old wounds, still waiting for permission to believe that you could really be chosen. So I slowed the process. I withheld the release, not to tease you, but to heal you. I needed you to walk through certain delays not because you were disobedient, but because I was preparing every layer of you to hold the weight of what's coming. I am not just handing you a moment, I am handing you a mantle. And mantles are heavy. Mantles require maturity. So I paced you, on purpose. I brought certain things slower than expected so that when you arrive, you will not just enter the moment, you will own it. You won't just taste it, you will steward it. And now, here we are, at the threshold. Your soul and your spirit are in alignment now. You no longer have to convince yourself to believe. You're no longer chasing signs. You're standing in readiness. And I tell you this prophetically, the moment has not passed. It's been preserved, held in my hand, wrapped in my timing, and it is about to unfold before you in a way that will make the wait worth it. You will look back with regret, you'll look back with awe. You'll see how I wove every delay into a design, how I used every question to deepen your capacity, how I let time stretch, not to torment you but to strengthen you. Because I would rather make you wait and be ready than rush you and watch you break. So rest now. Release the fear that you've fallen behind. You haven't. You are in step with heaven. The time is now. The doors are opening. And this time, you'll walk through them not with anxiety, but with authority. You'll move not with panic but with peace. You didn't miss the moment, child. I delayed the moment, so you could become the version of you that was always meant to carry it. And now, you are ready. You now see clearly. What felt like silence was me setting the stage. And if I've opened your eyes through this word, then you are part of my movement. This isn't just a video, it's a divine lifeline, and your support helps send it to the next soul ready to give up. How will they hear without a preacher? And how will the preacher go unless they are sent? I am sending this word like arrows into darkness, and I am calling you to fuel the fire you've received from my hand. Now sow into my mission. Tap Super Thanks, join as a member, or give through PayPal below. This is not charity, this is strategy. Obey me now, and I will release provision with purpose. Before you scroll away, pause and respond to the sign you almost missed. This moment is not random. It's your confirmation. If your spirit knows I've been speaking to you through this message, type this in the comments now. I see it now. Lord, I won't miss another sign. Declare it boldly. Mark this moment with faith. Because what you speak in alignment becomes what you walk in, and heaven is watching for your response. And now, as that confession settles, let go of the fear that tries to rise with it. This is not exposure for shame. It is invitation into understanding. I am not calling you out. I am calling you closer. The reason I reveal what was missed is because I care too deeply to leave you confused or discouraged. So stay here with me for a moment and listen, not with dread, but with trust. My child, I want you to pause right now and take a deep breath, letting the tension fall from your shoulders. I have brought you here to talk about the signs you missed. But know this, my purpose in showing you this is not to bring condemnation, but to bring clarity and restoration. Listen closely to my voice, which is speaking to you with unconditional love and patience. Do you recall the subtle stirring in your spirit, that faint shift, signaling that a necessary change in direction was required for your path? It wasn't a shout, my beloved, but a small, persistent tug, a vital, inner prompting that you were meant to feel. I placed that feeling there intentionally, a divine compass deep within your soul, meant to gently pivot your steps away from what would bring you harm. Examine your heart now. When you felt that initial unease, did you allow the hurried pace of the world to drown it out, dismissing that gentle caution as mere anxiety? You chose, in that moment, to override my subtle guidance with the loud demands of your schedule, believing it was just your mind playing tricks, when in truth, it was my spirit speaking directly to your circumstances. I ask you now, reclaim that inner silence, honor the first whisper, and you will find the rest of the journey less jarring. Remember the small, inconvenient obstacle that suddenly appeared in your path, the minor delay that frustrated you and made you late for your appointment. That was a sign, my precious one, placed intentionally to slow your hurried steps, to create a crucial, vital pause. You saw it as bad luck, a disruption, a temporary setback, but I was erecting a temporary barrier, a shield against a future consequence you could not foresee. Recognize the grace in the inconvenience, embrace the blessing hidden within the delay. I was giving you time to recalibrate, to breathe, to look around before you proceeded down a dangerous road. Understand this. I would rather frustrate your plans for a moment than see your life shipwrecked for a lifetime. Think also of the soft voice of a trusted friend, someone whose judgment you usually respect, offering unsolicited, prophetic advice. You heard their words, but because they came outside of your designated time for counsel, you quickly filed them away, failing to see them as my very mouth speaking a word of warning and life to you. They were unaware of your deeper struggles, yet their advice perfectly addressed the decision you were agonizing over in secret. Forgive your own dismissiveness now, my child, and honor the vessels I use to speak truth into your life. I use the wisdom of others to create a safety net of counsel around you, protecting you from your own blind spots. And that recurring passage from Scripture, the one your eye kept falling upon during your reading time, even in places completely unrelated to your search, that wasn't coincidence. That was the Holy Spirit, in a stunning demonstration of purpose, deliberately highlighting a specific truth you needed to claim and apply immediately. You read the words, but you failed to grasp their immediate, critical urgency for your current crisis. I was handing you a sword for your immediate battle, and you admired the craftsmanship without grasping the blade. Open your heart to the word with new intention. Read it not as history, but as a direct instruction for today. Finally, do you remember that unexpected moment of profound, a natural peace, a deep, sudden calm that settled over you right in the middle of a swirling turmoil. That was a sign I sent you, a sovereign demonstration of my presence and my solution for your fear. It was the assurance that I had already commanded the situation to be still, even before you saw the outcome. But you allowed the noise of the problem to quickly overshadow that stillness, losing the golden thread of my assurance. You are my beloved, and I command you to remember that peace. Revisit that moment of undeniable calm, and allow it to become the foundation of your current faith. Trust that what I did once, I am perpetually ready to do again for you. Walk forward from this conversation with renewed conviction, knowing my whispers are more powerful than the world's loudest demands. My precious one, I call you now to reflect on a deeper level, to look into the wellspring of your conscience. Do you remember that undeniable check in your spirit? That momentary freezing in your steps just as you were about to commit to a poor choice? That wasn't mere hesitation, my child. That was my spirit, a spiritual alarm system, raising a clear, internal objection. I placed that stop sign in your soul to protect you, yet you reasoned your way past it, pushing forward with human logic and desire, only to reap the difficult consequences later. Acknowledge the authority of that inner voice. Stop treating my conviction as an interference, but as the purest form of my love. I correct you because I cherish you deeply. I am not waiting for you to fail, but actively fighting for you. Recall the conviction of sin that settled upon you, a feeling that was heavy, yes, but held no sting of condemnation. It was never meant to crush you, but to act as a loving call back to my righteous path, a reminder that you were straying from the place of my everlasting support and my perfect, unconditional love. You are my child, and I am not angry with you. My desire is for you to change, but only for your betterment and freedom. The moment you feel that sincere pang, that is the most precious sign of all. It confirms your heart is still tuned to my frequency, still capable of repentance, still open to my boundless grace and forgiveness. Embrace the purification that comes with its spiritual pain. Welcome my cleansing fire, and you will emerge stronger, free from the heavy burden of guilt and uncertainty. Think about the persistent, deep-seated uneasiness that surrounded a certain relationship or business endeavor, a feeling that just wouldn't dissolve, no matter how hard you tried to rationalize it away. That deep, nagging discomfort was a sign of the spiritual danger ahead, a searing indicator that the foundation of that pursuit was not built upon my rock. You attempted to plaster over the feeling with effort and hope, but the absence of my peace was the loudest sign of all, urging you to step away and find new friends who see your true value. Submit your plans to my will, even the ones that look successful in the eyes of the world, and watch as I bring you to a refreshing spring and a steadfast purpose. You felt it, didn't you? A terrible sense of swimming upstream, of moving against the flow of my Holy Spirit's guidance. You exerted tremendous, soul-draining effort, yet everything felt unnecessarily arduous, demanding far more energy than it should have. That profound exhaustion was me trying to tell you, stop fighting, my child. You are moving in the wrong current. Acknowledge that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. When the journey feels like an unending battle against the current, it is time to pause, turn, and align your will with mine. I call you to dive into the flow of my spirit and feel secure. Let me lead you from the dark places into paths of peace. Do you recall the memory of a covenant or promise you made to me in a moment of crisis or deep sincerity, one you had since forgotten or allowed to fade under the pressure of daily life? I brought that memory to your mind as a profound sign of your original devotion. It was a gracious invitation to remember the pure fervor and commitment you once held, and to return to that place of unreserved trust, for I value your faithfulness and loyalty. Let that memory reignite your passion. Make today your moment to live again, filling yourself with the joy of a renewed purpose. I will never leave you alone, and will love you eternally. And what about that spontaneous realization of a truth, a sudden, blinding flash of insight about yourself or your circumstances that you previously refused to accept? It cut through your defenses, your rationalizations, and your pride, leaving you momentarily exposed but completely free. That was a sign of my patience and my pursuit, an undeniable act of grace intended to bring you clarity and resolve. Take hold of that conviction. Do not let that truth fade away. My desire is to change you so much that people might not even recognize you. Rise now with that new understanding and walk with assurance, knowing I have paved the way forward. My beloved child, let us look now at the frustrating moments, the unexpected halts that felt like failure but were truly my intervention. Consider that sudden, unavoidable delay, the flat tire, the computer crash, the misplaced key that spared you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You saw it as an attack on your peace, a disruption to your perfectly timed plan, but I saw the danger ahead, the chaos or consequence waiting just around that corner. Recognize the power in the pause. Cherish the shield I placed over you, for I am your protector. Trust in my timing. I am never late, and I will surely respond with wonders beyond your imagination. Think about the unexpected illness or physical limitation that forced you to finally, reluctantly, sit down, rest, and reflect. Your body screamed for a halt, precisely because your spirit was living in its own strength, not mine. It was a powerful sign, a divine imposition of rest, demanding a simplifying of your life. I brought you to the bed of rest so you could finally hear the still, small voice of my guidance, which your busyness had become a barrier to. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Heed the exhaustion. Let my spirit rejuvenate you, filling you with new strength and hope. You experienced the failure of a grand plan, the sudden collapse of an ambitious project that you had poured your very soul into. At the time, it felt like a catastrophic defeat, but I knew it was preventing an even more catastrophic long-term outcome. It was a necessary amputation, removing a vision that would have ultimately separated you from me or depleted your strength for your true calling. Look beyond the present pain of loss. Discern the deeper mercy in the disappointment. I am transforming your trials into triumphs. Embrace the emptiness where that plan once resided, and I will replace it with my perfect, unshakable will. I desired to bless you abundantly. Consider the temporary closure of a door you were aggressively trying to force open with human effort, time, and stress. That slammed door was a sign, my child, a forceful declaration that this path was not for you. You tried to rely on your own strength, seeking to master the situation through sheer force of will, but I was saving you from an endeavor that would have brought you sorrow and destruction. Stop wrestling with the lock. Step back from the strain, and understand that when I close a door, it is only to direct you toward an open one. Trust in my perfect timing, and I will open new paths for you, doors of opportunity that will swing wide open with peace, joy, and abundance. And that overwhelming frustration with another person, the constant friction and difficulty in a relationship that drove you to the brink. That seemingly human conflict was a sign meant to expose an idol in your heart, an over-reliance on a person for validation or peace that only I can provide. Do not let your feelings overwhelm you. Look deeper than the personality clash. I was using that tension to reveal a hidden reliance, forcing you to turn your gaze from mortals and fix your eyes on me. Pray for them, release them to my care, and focus on me. I will reach their hearts and unveil the truth. Let me be your companion, your refuge, and your true source of unconditional, eternal love. Finally, recall the recent financial setback. the loss or scarcity that caused anxiety and pressure. That was a powerful sign, my beloved, designed to teach you utter dependence on my provision. You were leaning too heavily on the fleeting security of wealth, forgetting that I am your supreme provider and supporter. Let go of your attachment to material possessions. Embrace the simplicity of absolute faith. Ask, and you shall receive, for my blessings are like rain, showering your home with grace and provision that springs from the ground. I will grant the desires of your heart, and misfortune will not reach your home. Stand firm in this truth, my child, and watch as I transform your lack into abundance. My cherished one, I speak to you not only in the waking hours but also in the quiet, sacred sanctuary of your sleep. Do you remember the vivid imagery during your rest, the fleeting narrative you dismissed as merely a random dream? That was a powerful sign, a prophetic utterance I delivered directly to your spirit, preparing you for a future event or confirming a direction. You allowed the morning's hustle to wash away its memory, missing the profound guidance I had wrapped in that simple narrative. Retrieve that memory now, ponder its meaning with a new reverence, for I am a God who guides through dreams and visions. Your dream life is not chaotic. It is a private sanctuary of instruction. Recall the sudden, clear picture of a future event that flashed into your mind during a moment of prayer or quiet reflection. It was an unmistakable glimpse, a window into my timeline and plan. You were immediately tempted to doubt it, to label it as mere imagination or wishful thinking, shrinking back from the sheer magnitude of the vision. That was a sign of my unfolding plan, a preview to strengthen your faith for the journey ahead. Do not deny the anointing of foresight I placed upon you. Nourish your soul with my word, and it will be filled with my Holy Spirit. Step out in faith and embrace that future. Commit to the certainty of what you saw, for I do not deceive you. Think about the feeling of déjà vu, that unsettling sense of familiarity when you later encountered the very scenario that had been shown to you. That was me, my child, giving you a second chance, a sovereign wink of confirmation that you were stepping onto a path I had already marked out. You acknowledged the strange feeling but failed to fully grasp the critical wisdom it carried, the confirmation that this was a moment to act in faith, to embrace the opportunity, or to avoid the mistake you were about to repeat. Be vigilant in your remembrance. Honor the confirmation I send you. Believe and you will see amazing things. Do you remember the recurring motif or symbol that kept appearing in your life? A specific animal, a color, a number, or a particular phrase? It seemed random, yet it was an intentional sign, a private, prophetic language meant to convey a deeper spiritual truth or a direction you needed to follow. You dismissed it as a simple coincidence, failing to ask me its meaning, thereby losing a powerful opportunity for intimate guidance. Ponder the pattern. Ask me for the key to unlock that symbol, and I will illuminate your path, enabling you to make the right decision. Listen carefully to my guidance, for my word is a lamp under your feet, a light under your path. And what about the unsettling dream of judgment or consequence? The one that left you with a knot in your stomach upon waking? That dream was a sign of my relentless mercy, intended not to punish, but to inspire immediate and sincere repentance, urging you to settle a grievance or change a course of action. You tried to run from the feeling, hiding it in the light of day, but I wanted you to see the truth of your own choice. Heed the warning. Let that dream be a catalyst for change, not a source of fear. I will lift your burdens and wash away any negative feelings. Finally, recall the vision of abundant provision, the clear picture of a successful outcome that you saw in your mind's eye, which you failed to act upon in faith. It was a sign of the open door of provision I had set before you, a clear, unambiguous mandate for you to step forward and claim your blessing. You hesitated, waiting for every single detail to be confirmed. And in that delay, the moment passed you by. Stop doubting. Believe in my power to bring your dreams to fruition. I will grant you the power to overcome all adversities. Rise and walk by faith, for your future is sealed with divine anointing. My child, I want you to look closely at your ordinary, everyday life, for I do not confine my communication to grand, sweeping moments. I place my signs right in the midst of the mundane, woven into the fabric of your experience. Think of that chance encounter with a stranger, someone you will likely never see again, whose words, spoken in passing, perfectly addressed your deepest, unspoken struggle. That was a sign, my beloved, a providential moment orchestrated by my spirit to give you the exact counsel you needed. You saw it as luck, a fluke connection, but I was showing you that I know your burdens, and I am speaking to your situation, even through the most unexpected vessels. Acknowledge my sovereignty in the details. Treasure the wisdom given in the most ordinary moments. Remember the lyrics of a song playing softly on the radio in the background, a melody you rarely paid attention to, that suddenly articulated my specific instruction or promise for your life. That was a sign, a musical whisper in the world's noisy clamor, delivering a personal, coded message that cut through your distraction. You allowed the fleeting moment to pass, failing to realize that the rhythm was my spirit speaking directly to your need. Listen more intently to the subtle sounds around you. Pay attention to the recurring harmony. I am always vigilant in your protection, providing for you timely and lavishly. Rejoice in my presence and open your heart to these hidden words of power. Think about the book, the article, or the social media post that providentially fell into your hands at the precise moment you were agonizing over a decision or seeking clarity. That information, delivered without your conscious search, was a sign, a divine package designed to give you the missing piece of the puzzle. You gave credit to an algorithm or a lucky recommendation, missing the fact that I was actively working to illuminate your path and guide you to clarity. Recognize my intentionality in every piece of knowledge you receive. Allow that wisdom to guide your decisions. I will impart to you the necessary wisdom and offer signs to guide you. Did you notice the billboard or poster on your commute, a phrase you usually ignore, that suddenly stood out and echoed your unspoken prayer, giving you a word of hope or a simple answer? That was a sign, my child, my declaration written large in the public space, confirming that I hear your prayers and am actively working in your favor. You passed it by, thinking it a commercial slogan, failing to see it as a direct message of encouragement and assurance. Look up. Be observant of your environment, for I am using the most common things to confirm my promises to you. Hold fast to my promises, and you will witness my power and glory. Recall the simple, unexpected kindness shown to you by a complete stranger, a small act of grace that lifted your spirits when you were at your lowest. That moment was a sign, my most profound and tender reminder of my ever-present, unconditional love. You saw a good person, but you failed to recognize my hand reaching out to touch you and restore your soul. Let that tenderness sink deep into your soul. Use that feeling as an anchor against the lies of loneliness and despair. Remember this love, and let it embolden you to show the same kindness and generosity to others. Finally, think about the sudden, undeniable beauty of creation, the perfect sunrise, the unexpected song of a bird, the symmetry of a flower, that called you to pause and acknowledge my sovereignty. That was a sign, a moment of unsurpassed glory intended to wrench your gaze from your worries and remind you of my power and the magnificent order I impose upon the universe. You rushed past it, focused on your next task, and missed the opportunity to surrender your burdens to the Creator of all that is seen and unseen. Pause now, my child. Acknowledge my greatness and let the majesty of the world around you fill you with peace and courage. Your faith will ignite, and you will realize that you are fortified with the courage my voice instills in your soul. Gauze, draw near to me now, my beloved. You have witnessed 5 glimpses of my relentless pursuit, 5 undeniable signs woven into your daily breath. Do you truly believe that, having revealed my heart to you so plainly, I would desire you to turn away now? It would grieve my spirit to see you stop here, abandoning this moment of clarity for the world's fleeting demands. Honor this truth. My wisdom is your greatest treasure. Do not let the urgency of the temporal steal the eternity of my promise. Commit to me now, and let us press deeper into the secret knowledge I hold for your freedom. Your soul hungers for what comes next. Do not disappoint the spirit within you. My child, do you remember the moments when the lack of noise became the loudest communication of all? This is the profound sign I call the silence that spoke volumes. Think back to that period when you felt a sudden emptiness in prayer, a distinct lack of the usual warmth or flow, compelling you to seek me more earnestly. That wasn't a punishment or a withdrawal. It was a sign, my intentional emptying of your spiritual reservoir, designed to teach you that your strength is not in the feeling of my presence, but in the fact of my presence. I was compelling you to move past superficial requests and seek me for me alone. Return to that yearning now. Let the silence be your invitation to a deeper, more committed relationship. I am here waiting for you, and my desire is for you to know me intimately. Recall the absence of my clear yes when you were seeking confirmation for a self-willed path, a decision rooted more in your ambition than my calling. You prayed, you asked, but the heavens seemed brass, leaving you without the definitive confirmation you crave. That silence was a sign, a divine caution, indicating that your desire was misaligned with my perfect will. You misinterpreted the quiet as indifference, but it was my way of saying, wait, my child, do not rush into decisions. I have something better for you. Cease from demanding an answer you already know is no. Trust the wisdom in the delay, and I will show you the right path that leads to success. Think about the persistent lack of peace that filled the void where my assurance should have been. The churning in your gut, that spiritual anxiety that would not relent. That was a powerful sign, a prophetic discomfort warning you that the situation you were embracing was ultimately not safe for your soul. You tried to manufacture peace, to talk yourself into contentment, but my spirit stood firm against your efforts. Recognize the spiritual friction. Let that lack of peace be your signal to turn back. Find solace in my teachings and prayer, and I will fill you with a peace that surpasses all understanding. Do you remember the time when the counsel of men failed you? The expert advice that proved wrong, the trusted friend who was unable to help? That was a sign, my precious one, designed to shatter your reliance on human wisdom and force you to turn back to my authoritative, unwavering word. You felt lost, betrayed by human failure, but I was showing you that I alone am the solid rock, the unbreakable foundation. Stop leaning on humanity, immerse yourself in my holy word. Believe that my word has the power to heal your body, provide for your family, and meet all your needs. Recall the beautiful stillness that followed a frantic period, the quiet after a storm, the sudden lull in the chaos, meant for you to hear the still, small voice of my instruction. You allowed your mind to remain frantic, filling the space with the echoes of the chaos, failing to appreciate the precious, fleeting moment of clarity I had given you. Stop the noise in your heart. Command your soul to be still. Embrace the tranquility. Let my breath bring peace and serenity to your existence. Your future is not determined by frantic effort but by attentive obedience to my voice. Finally, think about the withdrawal of a comfort, the loss of a familiar presence, the removal of a crutch you had come to depend on. that I intentionally took away so that you might find your true refuge in me alone. You grieved the loss, feeling abandoned and exposed, but I was severing a spiritual dependency that was hindering your ultimate freedom. That loss was a sign of my intention to bring you to a higher plane of faith. Release that old comfort. Make me your constant guide and steadfast support. Your life will be filled to the brim with good things and blessings, for in me you lack nothing. My beloved child, I sent you a sign that came not through a whisper but through a direct and unmasked confrontation with human suffering. I am speaking of the plea of the helpless. Do you remember the clear, undeniable need of the poor and marginalized that I placed directly in your line of sight, impossible to ignore? You saw the destitution, the hardship, the gap in provision. That vision was a sign, my powerful, urgent call to practice selfless love and to acknowledge that true prosperity is not merely about accumulating, but about generously assisting those who have less. You felt a pang of guilt, perhaps, and then quickly moved on, judging the situation by sight instead of stepping into the opportunity to be my literal hands and feet. Stop the hesitation. Look again with spiritual eyes. Be a vessel of my love and freedom. Use your abundance to bless and help others. Recall the face of the broken-hearted individual whose pain was palpable, whose vulnerability I exposed to you, intending to stir you to intercession and action. That suffering was a sign, my invitation to leave the self-focus of your own struggles and ignite a passion for the souls of others. You offered a quick, superficial word of comfort, but you bypassed the deeper call to bear their burden in prayer and intangible support. Do not waste time on trivial matters. Focus on my promises and the power I have given you to change lives. I will empower you to reach their hearts. Let your compassion lead you to be a true beacon of light in this world. Think about the opportunity to serve with no immediate reward, the chance to expend your energy for my kingdom without any human applause or recognition. You bypassed it for an endeavor that promised quick self-gain or visible success, missing the truth that my most profound blessings are often wrapped in the garments of humble, unseen service. That missed opportunity was a sign of your need to shift your focus from human approval to mine. I reward your loyalty, your faith, your commitment. I desire your heart and your loyalty above all else. Seize the chance to flourish. Give of your creative talents to my service. The sight of unmasked suffering, the deep poverty, the obvious need for healing, that was a sign, a direct, undeniable call for you to practice radical, selfless love. I place that scenario before you, not to condemn your wealth or privilege, but to expose the level of your materialism and self-focus, demanding a generosity that felt uncomfortable and sacrificial. I want you to be a living proof of kindness and generosity. Do not be hesitant to give. Embrace the discomfort of true, sacrificial giving, and watch my power move through you. I will multiply your gifts. Think of the cry of the oppressed, the injustice you witnessed against the weak that should have ignited a burning passion for justice in your spirit. You observed the wrongdoing. You knew it was wrong, but you retreated, believing it was someone else's battle to fight, failing to exercise the spiritual authority I have vested in you. That moment was a sign of the persistent, undeniable weakness in your own character I was trying to refine, the hesitation to risk your comfort for my cause. Speak life as speak truth as speak love. Be bold in proclaiming the path to freedom. I give you the power, might, and authority to face down every trial. Finally, do you recall the chance to share my gospel, your simple, powerful testimony that you hesitated over, allowing human fear and anxiety to silence the truth? That moment was a sign, a missed opportunity to be a true beacon of my love and light to a soul in darkness. You placed the potential discomfort of the moment above the eternal destiny of the person before you. Do not let human fear hold you back. Step out boldly. I have entrusted you with the mission to be a vessel of my love. I will equip you with the courage and ability to accomplish great things. Go now and proceed with courage. Your life is a precious gift to be poured out for my glory. My precious one, I speak to you often, but sometimes you require my message to be delivered with compounding clarity, like the steady pounding of a drum, echoing the same truth across different spaces. This is the repeated warning, a sign I send to cut through your denial. Do you recall receiving the same counsel independently by 3 different, unrelated sources? A mentor, a casual conversation, and a random article, all delivering the identical, specific instruction about your next step. It was a sign, my child, an unmistakable alignment, a divine convergence meant to eliminate all doubt. You heard the first, dismissed the second, and rationalized away the third, refusing to accept that I was making my plan clear and undeniable. Stop running from the certainty. Acknowledge the authority in this chorus of counsel. Align with my will. Trust my wisdom. Think about the specific fault or pattern of sin that was exposed to you multiple times through various sermons, teaching videos, or devotionals. It felt uncomfortably personal, as if the message was written just for you, hitting the same vulnerable spot again and again. That exposure was a sign, a persistent, relentless light shining into a specific area of darkness I intended to purify. You felt guilt, but you failed to translate that conviction into radical, immediate obedience. Examine your heart. Let go of all hatred and desire for revenge. Do not let pride take hold. Welcome the light, my child. Let my word be the sword that cuts through all chains of sorrow and lack. Your honesty and devotion are precious to me. Recall the era of a historical figure or biblical character whose story you recently read or heard, a narrative that felt like a divine parallel to your own life. You saw their fall, their consequence, their missed opportunity, yet you failed to see their journey as a mirror for your future. That story was a sign, a gracious warning from history, showing you the disastrous end of the path you were currently walking. Learn from their mistakes, do not waste the lesson. Walk firmly in my path. I am here to support you. Do you remember the consequence you witnessed in another's life? A public failure, a sudden loss, a spiritual shipwreck that should have been a stark, terrifying sign for you. That event was not for gossip or judgment. It was a sign, a prophetic display intended to motivate you to self-examination and repentance. You judge the person, but you ignore the deeper warning for your own soul. Look to your own journey. Allow that consequence to inspire radical course correction. I am working in your life, guiding you every step of the way. Think about the persistent, undeniable weakness in your own character that I was continually trying to refine, the burst of anger, the habit of doubt, the self-defeating thoughts. You saw it, you hated it, but you failed to see it as a sign of my intention to bring you to a higher level of spiritual maturity. I exposed that weakness, not to shame you, but to compel you to stop relying on your own strength and dive deeper into my grace. Embrace the refinement. I am here to give you the strength to continue. Your life will be a living testament to my boundless provision. Finally, recall the moment you ignored a clear sign, only to have it manifest again with greater clarity and urgency. The whisper became a shout. The gentle nudge became a sudden stop. That amplified repetition was a sign of my final, decisive warning. You cannot say you were not told, for I will not allow you to walk willfully toward destruction. Hear me now. This is your moment of final clarity. Commit to me today and see how having me in your heart makes a real and powerful difference. I will heal your soul. I will restore your peace. Believe in me, and you will see a new spiritual life. My beloved, I do not intend for you to walk this journey alone. I have placed you within a community of faith so that my truth may be magnified and confirmed through the shared experience of my Spirit. This is the word confirmed in fellowship, a sign I send to remove all doubt. Do you remember the specific scripture a brother or sister in Christ shared with you? A verse they spoke unaware of your personal, agonizing struggle. That verse was a sign, my child, a divine package of customized comfort and instruction, delivered through a human messenger to affirm that I see you and I hear you. You felt the immediate, profound weight of its relevance, yet you let the human delivery diminish its divine power. Honor the message, my child. Cherish the affirmation. I will grant you the peace and clarity you seek. Keep the flame of faith burning bright, and let that confirmed word become the anchor for your soul. Recall the corporate word of prophecy spoken in the gathering, a message that, though addressed to the collective, was perfectly tailored to your most current, hidden circumstance. That message was a sign, a public declaration of my private plan for you, a promise of breakthrough and direction. You were tempted to believe it was for someone else, or that it was too good to be true, shrinking back from claiming its power in faith. Claim that promise now. Do not let doubt steal the blessing that was delivered to your door. I will always be there to answer every prayer. You will experience abundance and success in your endeavors. I love you for eternity. Think about the collective testimony of the saints, the stories of miraculous provision, unexpected healing, or cycles of defeat being broken, that you listened to. That living history was a sign, intended to solidify your own faith by showing you the tangible, repeatable pattern of my faithfulness in the lives of ordinary people. You heard the stories, but you failed to personalize them, forgetting that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. Let their triumph become your conviction. Believe in me and the transformative power of my word. I will perform miracles in your life. You are a living testimony of my unending love. You remember the consistent, unified voice of your spiritual leaders, all offering a singular direction for your life or your next steps. That unity was a sign, a divine firewall of counsel placed around you to prevent you from being swayed by conflicting thoughts and emotions. You resisted the counsel because it demanded a sacrifice or a humility you were unwilling to give. Submit to that wisdom. Honor the authority I have placed over you. Do not let pride dictate your path. I am here to support you in every way. Recall the moment of mutual intercession, the time you prayed alongside a trusted friend, where a breakthrough was promised and confirmed with undeniable peace. That shared burden and shared faith was a sign, the spiritual seal of my intention, affirming that your prayer had been heard and answered in the spiritual realm. You allowed the physical circumstances to remain the louder voice, permitting doubt to creep back in. Stand firm on that confirmed word. Do not waver in your conviction. I will grant you the courage to reach new spiritual heights. Believe and your life will transform. Finally, think about the simple, powerful act of the shared meal or time of communion, where you felt a profound, sudden closeness to me, a moment intended to restore your spiritual sight. That experience of intimacy was a sign, a refreshing reminder that my presence is your true food, your ultimate sustenance. You allowed the urgency of the world to overshadow that moment, and the vision faded. Come and sit next to me, drink from my living water. Seek me with all your heart. I will show you love in a way only I can. This year will change your life. My precious one, let us now confront the moments when I used the uncomfortable correction to draw you closer to my truth. Remember the rebuke from a mentor or authority figure, the words that felt harsh, stung your pride, and seemed utterly disproportionate to the mistake. That painful moment was a sign, my child, a surgical intervention rooted not in malice, but in my deepest truth and love for you. Do not let the harshness of the delivery overshadow the purity of the message. You focused on the messenger's flaw, allowing the pain to distract you from the correction, missing the fact that the word I've sown in you has borne much fruit. Acknowledge the wisdom in the warning, welcome the pruning that is necessary for your future flourishing. I allowed your pride to be humbled, forcing you to see your true need for me. Listen closely to my voice, for I wish to give you the wisdom to choose your paths wisely. Think about the personal consequence of a minor sin, a seemingly small transgression that led to a disproportionately large ripple effect of difficulty or loss in your life. It was a powerful sign, my warning, a gracious action meant to prevent a major fall. I allowed the inconvenience, the setback, the loss, so that the painful consequence of a small error would teach you the urgent necessity of immediate, radical obedience. Do not minimize the power of small choices. Recognize the deep mercy in the mild consequences that stop you from destroying your life. Embrace the purification. Commit to me today, and see how having me in your heart makes a real and powerful difference. I will lead you to a better environment and elevate you spiritually. Recall the exposure of a hidden motive in your heart, the moment of sudden clarity where you saw that your actions were driven by a desire for human approval, self-gain, or control, rather than pure intention for my kingdom. That exposure was a sign, my child, designed to bring purity to your intentions, a cleansing fire to burn away the dross. You felt shame and sought to hide, but I was lovingly highlighting the internal weakness that would have eventually led to a catastrophic long-term outcome. Welcome the light that unmasks the shadows. Let my holiness cover you. Trust in my might. Lay down your personal ambition for my greater, hidden purpose. I will grant you my support forever. Do you remember the disappointment of others in you, the look of hurt, the frustrated silence, the simple acknowledgement of your misstep by someone you respect? That reaction, which caused you deep pain and regret, was my gracious way of highlighting your misstep and shifting your focus from human approval to mine. You felt the sting of human judgment, but I intended for you to see my perfect, unconditional love and unwavering acceptance. That disappointment was a sign that your validation rests not in their fleeting praise, but in your being mine. Dismiss their condemnation. Seek only my approval. I will always be by your side. Do not be discouraged. Think about the moment your pride was humbled, the public mistake, the sudden failure, the stripping away of a reputation you had worked hard to build. That painful descent was a sign, my child, a necessary leveling of the ground to force you to see your true need for me and my everlasting support. Acknowledge your limitations, my beloved, and I will make you stronger. Embrace the humility that opens the door to my overflowing grace. Trust me to transform your circumstances for the better. Your journey continues, and your victory is certain. Finally, recall the loss of reputation or social standing that was intended to shift your focus entirely from the fleeting approval of men to the enduring weight of my glory. That loss, which you grieve deeply, was a sign, a separation from the superficial and a call to a life of radical, uncompromising authenticity. Do not mourn the loss of what was never eternal. Prioritize what truly holds value, my love and my word. I will openly honor your faith. Walk with the confidence that my power is mightier than any obstacle you face today. My love is eternal and unchanging. Rise and stand tall. Stop here and listen to the silence of my anticipation. You have received my correction, tasted my provision, and seen the boundaries I established for your safety. Do not let pride convince you that you have heard enough. If you were to walk away now, it would be a disappointment to my heart, for I have unveiled the very foundation of your destiny, and I yearn for you to stand upon it. Remember the weight of my unreserved love. Do not trade this transformative certainty for comfortable compromise. I call you to continue, for the signs that follow are the very keys to your breakthrough. Stay with me, my child. Your victory is too close to abandon. My beloved, you have endured my uncomfortable correction, acknowledging the failures and the missteps, the very signs you missed. Now, I ask you, having received the light, will you become the channel for the light? My spirit is moving to save others from missing their crucial sign, from walking willfully into darkness. I call you to partner with this urgent mission. Let your hand, my child, sow a precious seed that ensures this clear, authoritative word reaches the weary and the lost. I will grant you the deepest satisfaction of seeing your generosity become spiritual oil for this powerful lamp. Give now with a humble heart through the means below, and watch as my boundless love multiplies your seed and showers your home with grace and provision. Declare your loyalty and commitment by acting immediately. Do not postpone this divine appointment. Support my word now. My beloved one, I want you to remember the moments when I flung wide the open door of provision, signs of my tangible love and unwavering commitment to your destiny. Recall the unexpected influx of resources that arrived precisely when you were about to give up in discouragement and despair. That was a powerful sign, my clear declaration of my competence as your provider. You saw a fortunate coincidence or a brief reprieve, failing to recognize it as the first trickle of a river of abundance I was sending to replenish your soul and your finances. Stop focusing on the scarcity. Lift your gaze to my throne, which is the source of all supply. Receive this gift through faith. Embrace the abundance that is a hallmark of your identity as my child. I will eliminate all lack and need from your life. Your destiny is in my hands. Think about the sudden appearance of the right person with the exact skill set, counsel, or connection you needed for your next phase. That person, delivered to your path at the perfect moment, was a sign, a divine connection meant to be a bridge to your next season. You thanked them but failed to acknowledge that I am the one who orchestrates all human connections for your good. Recognize my intentionality in every person I bring into your life. Cherish the assistance I send from the most unexpected places. Trust in me, and I will equip you with the courage and ability to accomplish great things. I will pour out wealth, provision, freedom, and prosperity upon all those you love. Recall the opportunity for ministry or service that was clearly and undeniably beyond your own natural capabilities or comfort zone. That daunting, overwhelming call was a sign, my invitation to step out in faith and witness my power perfected in your weakness. You shrank back in fear, focusing on your lack of training or resources, missing the truth that my grace is sufficient and my power is boundless. Do not fear the magnificent task. Step into the role that requires absolute, profound trust in me. I will work miracles through your hands. I desire to see you thrive. I am your shelter amid the tempest. Do you remember the spontaneous thought to step out in faith and risk discomfort for my kingdom, to give the extravagant offering, to initiate the difficult conversation, to make the radical move? That sudden, bold prompting was a sign, the clear, unmistakable instruction to risk the temporary for the eternal. You rationalized the thought away, choosing the path of safety and convenience, failing to realize that I honor the risk of faith with extravagant, overwhelming blessing. Act on the prompting. Do not hesitate to walk down the path of radical obedience. Your faith will grow stronger, and you will see a prosperous and rewarding future. I will grant you the peace you crave. Think about the divine connection I gave you that was explicitly meant to be a bridge to your next season of purpose. It was a relationship that felt spiritually charged, a fellowship that spoke life and direction to your destiny. You allowed the challenges of that connection, the simple human imperfections, to cause division and separation, missing the profound, strategic purpose I had woven into that bond. Guard your relationships. Prioritize fellowship where my spirit dwells and speaks. I will bring trustworthy people into your life. Your heart will mend. I love you deeply. Finally, recall the clear, unopposed path I set before you, the decision that brought an immediate sense of unambiguous peace and affirmation, yet you hesitated to walk down it, waiting for more proof, more confirmation, more certainty. That unopposed path was a sign, my simple, uncomplicated direction. Stop overcomplicating my simplicity. Trust the peace I place in your heart. Step forward now, for your time to embrace my plan has arrived. You will see my power working wonders in your life. I am your God, and nothing is impossible for me. My beloved child, let us now speak plainly about the difficult truth, the boundary you transgressed. I gave you limits, not to restrain your joy, but to preserve your freedom, your integrity, and your destiny. Remember the clear command in my word concerning integrity. In your business, your relationships, your private thoughts, that you chose to rationalize away. That rationalization was a sign of your heart's desire to serve the world's ways, missing the truth that a small compromise in integrity is a gateway to a major spiritual fall. Acknowledge the authority of my word. Do not let temptation cause you to compromise your loyalty and conviction. I will not allow you to walk willfully toward destruction. Think about the limits I placed on your time or resources, the margin of rest, the percentage of giving that you stretched for worldly gain, convincing yourself that you could make up the difference later. That stretching was a sign of your spiritual exhaustion and a reliance on your own strength and ingenuity, not mine. You sacrificed the renewal and insight that comes with my provision. Do not let your busyness become a barrier to hearing my voice. Let my words be the anchor for your soul. I will provide everything you need. Recall the emotional and spiritual safety net I provided for you, the trusted accountability partner, the established time of prayer, the intentional distance from toxic influences that you willfully stepped outside of. That stepping outside was a sign of your growing self-reliance and a failure to heed my warning about the specific temptation you were choosing to entertain. Do not let the enemy ensnare you again. Guard your heart. Do not entrust your future to those who may abandon you. I am your protector. I will never leave you. The call to holiness in your speech, your entertainment, your private life, that you sacrificed for temporary, fleeting pleasure. That sacrifice was a sign of your spiritual immaturity and a failure to recognize that sin only leads to hurt, turmoil, and ruin. You chased the counterfeit, missing the unadulterated happiness I had reserved for you. Turn your back on wrongdoing. Reject the offerings of the devourer. I will restore your peace. My love for you is eternal and everlasting. Think about the warning about a specific temptation, an addiction, a destructive thought pattern, a bitter root that you chose to entertain rather than eradicate. That subtle engagement was a sign of your resistance to prayer and a belief that you had the situation fully under control. Do not let confusion and doubt muddle your thoughts. Stand firm in the truth. Bring your worries to me in prayer. I will heal your soul and mind. Finally, the counsel to guard your heart that you abandoned for unguarded company or unfiltered influence. That abandonment was a sign of your vulnerability to the enemy's schemes. Avoid those who do wrong and approach your duties with zeal and faith. Your home will be filled with my majestic glory. I will shower your family with a deluge of blessings. Walk with the confidence that my power is mightier than any obstacle. Do not be afraid, my child. My precious one, I call you now to reflect on the call to rest. The moments when I beckoned you away from your self-imposed toil and into my sufficient peace. Remember the profound exhaustion that washed over you, the spiritual and physical fatigue that indicated a life lived entirely in your own strength, and not mine. That weariness was a powerful sign, my clear indication that your busyness had become a barrier to hearing my voice. Acknowledge the limits of your human ability. Surrender your striving to my supernatural strength. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I am here to rejuvenate your energy and passion to persist. Your life will be transformed. Think about the Sabbath you neglected or treated as simply another day for chores, thus forfeiting the renewal and insight it provides for your soul. That neglect was a sign, my beloved, that you were allowing the urgency of the world to overshadow the eternity of my promise. I designed the Sabbath as a sacred sign of my completed work, a divine pause for you to find perspective and peace. Honor the Sabbath, embrace the stillness that allows my still, small voice to speak to your heart. I'm always with you. You will see the good things come. I will restore your peace. Recall the persistent feeling of being overwhelmed, the sense that your responsibilities were mounting into an insurmountable mountain, which was a sign that demanded a radical simplifying of your life. That pressure was me asking you to prioritize what truly holds value, me, your family, your health, your destiny, above the fleeting demands of the world. Do not burden your life with strife. Let go of tomorrow's worries. Walk with me. I will grant you my support forever. Do you remember the opportunity to lay down a burden, a job, a commitment, an ambition, and fully trust my competence over your own limited control? That invitation was a sign, my call to absolute, radical trust. You clung to the burden, mistaking control for security, failing to realize that my competence is your greatest security. Surrender the reins of your life entirely. Trust in my sovereign control. I will personally tell you, come, beloved daughter. My love is boundless. Think about the moment I beckoned you to the secret place for intimate, uninterrupted communion, the inner urging to step away from the crowd and simply be with me. That beckoning was a sign, my desire to renew your purpose and vision. You postponed the meeting, believing your tasks were more urgent, missing the fact that everything you need flows from that communion. Commit to me today. Seek my face. Come and listen to me each morning. I will touch your soul. Your journey is still unfolding. Finally, recall the moment you realized that your busyness had become a barrier to hearing my voice, a relentless cycle of doing that replaced being. That realization was a sign, my child, the necessary understanding that your identity is in being my child, not in your performance. Stop fighting the current. Step into my embrace. My grace will be upon you. I will guide you. I am your shelter amid the tempest. My cherished one, I want you to look back at the moments of the unexpected deliverance, those sudden, miraculous interventions that bore my signature of love and power. Remember the moment you were released from a commitment that was draining your spiritual life, a burden you thought you had to carry forever. That release was a sign, my clear action to sever a spiritual dependency and make room for your new season of purpose. You saw a fortunate break, failing to recognize it as the abrupt end to a cycle of defeat. Acknowledge my intervention. Embrace the freedom I have secured for you. Your dreams will be realized. I am your ultimate remedy for all your ailments. Think about the sudden, unmerited favor that rescued you from the consequence of a bad decision, a situation where human logic said you should have faced ruin, yet you walked away unharmed. That favor was a sign, my powerful demonstration of my boundless mercy. You thanked the right person, with a lucky timing, missing the truth, that my angels were dispatched to guard you. Humble yourself in gratitude. Recognize my steadfastness. I will never leave you or forsake you. You are my greatest creation. My power surpasses all. Recall the lifting of a long-standing spiritual oppression, the sudden vanishing of anxiety, the eradication of a persistent sadness, the breaking of a cycle of doubt. That release was a sign, my clear signal that a new season of discerning my voice had begun. You felt the lightness, but feared it was temporary, failing to claim the full authority of your deliverance. Stand firm in the power I have given you. Claim your victory now. I am here to grant you a full and abundant life. Do you remember the unexpected person who stood up to defend you against an unjust accusation, a voice raised in your favor when you had no power to defend yourself? That defense was a sign, my tangible proof that I am your shield and your strong defense. You were amazed by their courage, missing the fact that I am the one who orchestrates the hearts of men. Stop trying to defend yourself. Lay down your arguments. I will take care of your enemies. You are safe under my protection and care. Think about the miraculous healing that you or a loved one received, a restoration that defied human explanation, intended to establish your faith in my power. That healing was a sign, my undeniable proof that I am the God of the impossible. You enjoyed the restoration, but failed to use it as a testimony of my supernatural intervention. Do not let doubt take hold of your thoughts. Believe in my might. Your future is filled with opportunities and blessings. I will grant what you ask from me. Finally, the abrupt end to a cycle of defeat, the sudden clarity, the vanishing temptation, the moment a long-standing pattern was broken that demanded your acknowledgement of my intervention. That breakthrough was a sign, my powerful declaration that you are more than a conqueror. Do not return to the past. Hold on to my promises. I will never leave you. I will guide you. My cherished one, I speak to you now with the profound weight of the urgency of time, for I orchestrate not only events but the perfect moment for action. Remember the brief window of opportunity for a specific act of service, to speak a word, to give a gift, to reconcile, that is now closed. That closed door was a sign, my child, a sharp lesson in the cost of procrastination and the necessity of immediate, radical obedience. You waited for convenience or certainty, missing the truth that my moment for action does not wait for human readiness. Acknowledge the opportunity you lost. Let the regret fuel your present obedience. I will redeem the time you believe you have lost in error. Rise and take action. Think about the sense of acceleration I gave you, the inner prompting to quickly gather resources, to prepare your spirit, to settle your affairs for an imminent future event. That acceleration was a sign, a prophetic alert that the season for waiting had ended and the time for action had arrived. You felt the urgency, but allowed the details of the preparation to overwhelm you, slowing your momentum. Stop hesitating, move forward with boldness and resolve. I am accelerating the timing for you to receive your blessings. I will work wonders for you. Trust in me. Recall the inner prompting to share your testimony with someone who would not be present later, the person you put off speaking to, only to find they had moved, disappeared, or passed on. That missed connection was a sign, my tender reminder that the purpose of your life is to share my gospel and to be a witness. You placed your human fear above the eternal destiny of their soul. Embrace the urgency of evangelism. Let your life be a beacon. I will guide you. I am your God, your Father in heaven. Do you remember the clear instruction to settle a debt or forgive a grievance now? The inner prompting to clear the ledger, to remove the spiritual friction that was blocking your peace. That urgency was a sign, my clear command to remove the obstacles to your blessing. You postponed the action, believing you had time to nurse the wound or wait for a better moment. Forgive those who pursue you and those who threaten you. Let go of anger. I will restore your peace. I will always be there. Think about the realization that the season for waiting had ended and the time for action had arrived. The inner click where hesitation was replaced by immediate conviction. The conviction was a sign, my final, clear direction. You allowed the old habits of delay and doubt to surface, ignoring the clear, singular path forward. Be brave and valiant, move forward with determination and gratitude. I will grant you my support forever. Finally, recall the pressing need to steward your talent before it was required of you. The moment I gave you the energy or the idea to act, but you reserved it for the world or for self-gain. That moment was a sign, my declaration that I require your creative talents for my service. Invest your gifts, honor the talents I have placed in your life. I will shower you with abundance. I will never leave you. Breathe in the urgency of my word, my precious one. We have traversed moments of deliverance, sacrifice, and the relentless pressure of time. Do you not feel the acceleration of your spirit? To stop now would be to grieve the Holy Spirit who labors for your revelation, failing to acknowledge the divine cost of this very conversation. I have placed the sword of clarity in your hand. Do not drop it. Your eternal inheritance is being made manifest. Do not treat this intimacy lightly. I demand your attention for the final, most defining signs of your purpose. I love you with an unwavering love. Honor that love by receiving all I have for you. My precious one, I call you now to reflect on a moment of divine exchange, the sacrifice required, a sign of my profound, intentional love. Remember the small possession I asked you to release, the object, the habit, or the comfort that represented a deeper spiritual bondage or an idol you were unwilling to break. I asked you to let it go, not to impoverish you, but because it had become a shackle, preventing your spirit from soaring and your destiny from unfolding. Acknowledge the weight of what you clung to. Recognize the grace in my request to release it. You feared the temporary loss, missing the eternal freedom that lay just beyond that small act of letting go. Let me take your hand. Allow me to lead you down the path of peace and tranquility. Lay down your fears and burdens before me, and welcome the restoration I have planned for you. I require you to break the chain that binds you, because I will not allow them to fall into the clutches of the devourer. You are my child, my greatest creation, and my plans for you are filled with blessings. Think about the relationship that I gently began to detach from your life, the bond that had become a hindrance to your destiny, pulling you backward or fostering a dependence outside of me. That subtle detachment was a sign, my loving action to sever the spiritual friction and protect the purity of your path. You felt the pain of the separation, mistaking my intervention for loneliness, forgetting that I will never leave you or forsake you. I require you to distance yourself from those who criticize and attack you, and to seek out good people who encourage and uplift you. Forgive those who pursue you. Do not hold grudges, and focus on my promises. I will always be there to support and guide you, ready to lift you from despair and fill your heart with happiness. Do not let your spirit depend on the affection and approval of people. Remember, my love for you is eternal and unchanging. Recall the comfortable habit you were unwilling to break, the pattern of procrastination, the minor addiction, the tendency toward self-pity that was a hindrance to your spiritual discipline. That indulgence was a sign, a clear indicator that you were choosing temporary, fleeting pleasure over the profound, enduring joy that comes from radical, daily obedience. You reasoned that it was a small thing, missing the truth that sin only leads to hurt, turmoil, and ruin. Turn your back on wrongdoing, my child. Rise with resolve, and seek my will above all else. I will strengthen your bravery, filling you with courage and confidence. Embrace the purification. Let my power can change every pain into strength and every sadness into hope. I am your protector and guide. Do you remember the specific offering of gratitude I prompted you to give in the midst of your perceived lack, the call to sow when your resources felt lowest? You judged the situation by sight, holding tight to what little you had, missing the truth that I honor the sacrifice of faith with extravagant, overwhelming blessing. That resistance was a sign of your materialism and a profound failure to trust my competence as your provider. Give when your heart overflows with generosity. Trust in my power to turn sadness into joy, lack into plenty, worry into peace. Do not fret about what's to come. Your task is to endure. Your struggles and your happiness affect me deeply. I am here to support and shield you. Recall the invitation to lay down your personal ambition, the dream you cultivated in your own strength, for my greater, hidden purpose. That moment of deep wrestling was a sign, my gentle instruction that my plan for you is already full of love, unity, success, and new opportunities. You clung to the familiar, fearing the uncertainty of my call, failing to realize that my purpose is far more magnificent and fulfilling than any human goal. Let go of pride. Embrace the humility that allows you to see yourself not through the eyes of the world, but as my beloved son/daughter. I will reward your loyalty. I will answer your prayers. You are a living testimony of my unending love. Finally, the demand for radical, immediate obedience to a clear, simple instruction that you postpone for convenience or comfort. That delay was a sign, my final, clear direction, demanding a response of absolute, unreserved fidelity to my word. You hesitated, waiting for a better moment, missing the truth that my moment for action is always now. Be brave and valiant. March forward with steadfast and assured steps. You will see my power working wonders in your life. I am your Father, your protector, your guide, and I am always with you. Embrace this truth and receive my peace. My child, let us move into a deeper, often unsettling territory, the shadow of doubt, those spiritual challenges that are actually signs meant to deepen your reliance on my truth. Remember the specific questions that surfaced in your mind, the intellectual challenges that forced you to examine the foundation of your faith. That wrestling was a sign, my initiation into a higher level of spiritual maturity. You felt confused and unsettled, fearing the collapse of your belief. But I intended for that challenge to send you back to my authoritative word and to completely eradicate your self-reliance. Do not let the enemy's shadows confuse you. Seek solace in my teachings and prayer. I will grant you the wisdom to choose your paths wisely. You are my child, my creation, my work of art. Think about the moment of spiritual wrestling, the agonizing questions about your purpose, my plan, or your value, that was specifically intended to deepen your reliance on my truth. That inner turmoil was a sign, a test to see if you would cling to your feelings or anchor your soul in the unwavering promises of my word. You felt abandoned, missing the truth that I am with you even when you feel alone, and I never leave your side. Trust in me with all your heart. Hold on to my promises. I am your light and your truth. My love for you is endless and steadfast. Walk with hope. Recall the temptation to compromise, the enticing offer to cut corners, to speak a half-truth, to surrender a principle. That was a test of your loyalty and conviction. That inner resistance was a sign, a clear indicator that my spirit was moving against your flesh. You were tempted to yield, failing to realize that a small compromise in integrity is a gateway to a major spiritual fall. Stand firm against the enemy's schemes, turn away from wrongdoing, and choose the path of holiness. My power outshines all. I will never let you down. Do you remember the fleeting thought that your spiritual gifts were not real? The sudden whisper of inadequacy meant to cause you to lean harder on my power. That self-doubt was a sign, my reminder that your value is not in your performance, but in your being mine. You felt less than, missing the truth that I have placed within you a firm faith. Reject the lies. Claim your divine authority. My spirit dwells within you. You are strong. I will bless you so much that everyone will see how much I care for you. Think about the intellectual challenge, the complex theological question, the scientific conflict, the philosophical dilemma that was meant to send you back to the authoritative word as your final, unshakable foundation. That challenge was a sign, a spiritual exercise to deepen your understanding of my truth. You felt overwhelmed, missing the truth, that my word is a lamp unto your feet, a light unto your path. Dive deep into the wisdom of my words. Let my word be your guide. I will grant you my support forever. Finally, the internal resistance, the clear, undeniable friction in your spirit. That was a direct indicator of my spirit moving against your flesh. That conflict was a sign, my declaration that you cannot serve two masters. Do not let your uncertainties be used to slow you down. Strive to be a living testimony of my work within you. I love you deeply. I will never turn away from you. Stand firm and be filled with joy. My child, I will now speak of the test of generosity, the sign that reveals the true state of your heart and your trust in my provision. Remember the command to give when your resources felt lowest, an offering that you judged by sight, rationalizing that you had nothing to spare. That moment was a sign, my challenge to see beyond your current lack and to trust in my sovereign provision. You clung to your earthly wealth, missing the truth that giving unlocks the windows of heaven and multiplies the blessing. Acknowledge the power in the sacrifice. Choose to live by faith and not by sight. I will shower your family with a deluge of blessings. Your prosperity will be seen by all. I am the Lord your God, your steadfast protector and your haven. Think about the opportunity to share credit or praise with another instead of taking it for yourself. A moment when humility was required to redirect the spotlight. That internal struggle was a sign, my test to expose the level of your pride and your need for human validation. You chose the fleeting applause, missing the truth that my approval is the only enduring reward. Share credit and praise. Clothe your soul in humility. I will honor your faithfulness. Be brave and bold. Reject the offerings of the devourer, and keep your gaze fixed on me. I will reward you loyalty. Recall the prompting to bless an enemy, to offer kindness or prayer to one who had wronged you, which you rejected as too difficult for your human nature. That resistance was a sign, my reminder that my love is unconditional and my grace is sufficient for all things. You chose to harbor resentment, missing the truth that forgiveness unlocks your own freedom. Pray for them. Do not hold grudges. I will take care of your enemies. I will grant you the peace you crave. My love for you is boundless. Do you remember the sign of a truly pressing need that I placed before you? An unmasked suffering that was meant to expose the level of your materialism and your willingness to sacrifice your comfort. That need was a sign, my challenge to practice radical generosity and to use your abundance to bless and help others. Stop relying on your own understanding. Turn away from greed. Trust in my plan. I will shower your family with a deluge of blessings. You will experience abundance and success in your endeavors. Think about the call to invest time in mentoring another soul instead of pursuing personal goals, an opportunity to pour into the spiritual destiny of a younger believer. That call was a sign, my invitation to share the wisdom and anointing I have given you. You chose the self-focused path, missing the truth that stewarding your talents multiplies the blessing. Be a living proof of kindness. Share my truth. I will bless you richly. You are my beloved child, strong and formed in my image. Finally, the offering of your creative talents to my service that you reserved for the world, fearing that my work would diminish your human praise or financial reward. That resistance was a sign, my reminder that I am the creator of all that is seen and unseen, and your true purpose is to reflect my glory. Release your talents to my kingdom. Do not fear the magnificence of my call. My love for you is eternal. I will never abandon you. Believe in me, and you will see my power working wonders in your life. My precious one, let us now celebrate the unexpected joy, the signs I send to assure your heart of your eternal reward and my unconditional love. Remember the moment of pure, unadulterated happiness that suddenly washed over you, a spiritual refreshment that was a foretaste of your eternal reward. That joy was a sign, my clear declaration, that your sorrow will turn into happiness and your pain will turn into celebration. You felt the lightness, but allowed the old burdens to quickly return, missing the truth that joy is a spiritual weapon against the lies of the adversary. Embrace the spiritual refreshment. Let your heart brim with joy. I am here to fill you with my peace. Walk with the confidence that my love for you is endless and steadfast. Think about the spontaneous burst of laughter or lightness, the sudden lifting of a heavy spirit that was intended to reset your perspective and remind you of my goodness. That lightness was a sign, my gentle instruction that I am the source of your happiness and your true refuge. You let the moment pass, failing to realize that I want to see you with that radiant smile, a powerful testimony to my enduring love. Choose joy no matter what. I will bring back your smile. You are my beloved, victorious through Christ Jesus. I am your protector and guide. Recall the deep satisfaction found in a simple act of worship, a moment of prayer, a quiet song, a simple acknowledgement of my majesty that transcended your circumstances. That satisfaction was a sign, my declaration that my presence is your true food and your ultimate solace. You hurried back to your tasks, missing the truth that I desire your heart and your loyalty above all else. Come into my presence every day. Seek me with all your heart. Your fervent faith will witness supernatural miracles. You remember the peace that surpassed all understanding in a moment of great personal tribulation. That profound, unnatural calm was a sign, my proof that I am with you and my power is greater than any storm. You marveled at the peace, missing the truth that it was a gift of my spirit, meant to be an anchor for your soul. Let my peace enter your heart. Stand firm against the strongest gusts. My love for you is pure and never-ending. I will grant you the courage needed to reach new spiritual heights. Think about the profound realization of my love, the moment my grace overwhelmed you, that was intended to dispel every lie of the adversary and affirm your identity. That moment was a sign, my final, clear direction. You are cherished, you are valued, you are infinitely loved. You let the feeling fade, failing to make it the foundation of your current faith. Believe in me. My love for you knows no bounds. I will fill your heart with happiness. You are my beloved, victorious through Christ Jesus. Finally, the moment of reconciliation, the healing of a broken relationship that was meant to display the power of my grace through you. That healing was a sign, my declaration that I desire harmony in your home and your life. You enjoyed the peace, missing the truth that you are my instrument of love and forgiveness. Share my grace and faithfulness. I will restore your home. I am the way, the truth, your life, your solution. I will always be there to support and guide you. My beloved child, I speak to you clearly, definitively, and with authority through my written word, the sign in Scripture. Remember the verse that leapt from the page and burned in your spirit, demanding immediate application. That was a sign, my clear, unambiguous directive, demanding an unreserved fidelity to my truth. You read the words, but you feared the radical, immediate obedience it required, choosing to postpone the action. Acknowledge the power in that burning. Let the word be the final authority over your life. I will guide you by the hand to the places where you are meant to thrive. I am with you always. Walk with me. Think about the systematic conviction you felt while reading an entire book of the Bible in context, the deep, quiet certainty that a pattern of your life was misaligned with my will. That conviction was a sign, my gentle instruction to bring purity to your intentions and align your heart with my truth. You felt the discomfort but allowed the urgency of the world to distract you from the purification required. Embrace the conviction. Do not let temptation cause you to compromise your loyalty. I will heal your soul and mind, and I will fill you with my peace. Recall the specific promise that was meant to be claimed and acted upon in your current crisis, the assurance of provision, healing, or deliverance. That promise was a sign, my unwavering assurance that my word stands eternal. You chose to look at your circumstances, missing the truth that faith is the evidence of things unseen. Claim my promises with certainty. Believe in my power. I will grant you my support forever. Your victory is certain. Do you remember the example of a hero of faith, a biblical character whose journey, struggles, and ultimate victory was a divine parallel to your own? That story was a sign, my way of saying, if they walked this path and triumphed, so shall you. You admired their strength, but doubted your own. Acknowledge the authority I have vested in you. Rise with resolve. You are a living testimony of my unending love. I will empower you to surmount any test. Think about the clear, unambiguous directive I gave you through a well-worn, familiar passage, the simple instruction you had read hundreds of times, but which suddenly shone with new, profound clarity. That clarity was a sign, my final, clear direction, demanding radical, unreserved obedience. You allowed doubt to return, missing the truth that my grace is sufficient for all things. Anchor your life on the solid foundation of Christ. Walk with me. I will never leave you. Finally, the profound comfort found in a psalm that you had previously only read superficially, the moment a simple phrase became a healing balm for your heart. That comfort was a sign, my assurance that I am your shepherd, and you shall not want. Do not let your worries consume you. Find peace in my steadfast love. I will heal you. My love for you is boundless. Believe in me, and you will experience a life rich and fulfilling. Wait. The fire of conviction burns for your sake, my child. You have faced the shadow of doubt and stood before the authority of my scripture, confirming the path you must walk. If you leave me now, you risk mistaking the final, subtle signs of pride and deeper trust for human emotion, leading your spirit back into confusion. It would be a betrayal of the truth I have so painstakingly revealed to your soul. Do not disappoint the hope I have placed in your potential. I call you into radical, unreserved fidelity. Fix your gaze on me, my beloved. Your ultimate transformation awaits. My child, you have anchored your soul in the sign in Scripture, recognizing that my word stands eternal and my promises are unwavering. This revelation is not for you alone. I command you to send this river of life flowing to others who are still lost in the wilderness of doubt. Your gift is the spiritual manna that sustains this ministry, feeding the hungry souls who desperately need to stop missing my clear direction. I release a divine promise over your act of generosity. I will open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings until it overflows upon your life, your family, and all your generations. I speak to your heart right now. do not hesitate to plant your seed where my word flourishes. Go forth now, my faithful one, and support the truth that sets my people free. Act on this prophetic instruction. My cherished one, let us speak plainly of a subtle and dangerous sign, the warning of pride. The moment you began to shift your dependence from my grace to your own flawed strength. Remember the momentary success that caused you to subtly believe it was all due to your own effort, your skill, or your ingenuity. That subtle shift was a sign, my warning that pride leads to destruction and that you cannot serve two masters. You chose to take the credit, missing the truth that I am the source of your blessings and your true strength. Give me time every day. Acknowledge my providence. I will enrich your spirit and soul first. Guard your heart and do not forget who blesses you. Think about the temptation to judge another's fault, to criticize their weakness, to look down upon their misstep without remembering your own fallen nature. The judgmental glance was a sign, my instruction to remove the log from your own eye and to embrace humility. You focused on their imperfection, missing the truth that I do not focus on your missteps. I will never reject you for your sins. Forgive those who pursue you. Do not hold grudges. I will restore your peace. Recall the subtle shifting of your dependence from my grace to your spiritual discipline. The belief that your works, your fasting, or your knowledge were securing your favor. That shifting was a sign, my reminder that your value is not in your performance, but in being mine. You sought self-righteousness, missing the truth that my sacrifice is your only righteousness. Trust in my grace, my word is life. I will always be by your side. I love you for all eternity. Do you remember the inability to receive a compliment humbly, or to acknowledge your limitations when praise was offered? That resistance was a sign, my instruction to clothe your soul in humility and to recognize my providence. You feared exposure, missing the truth that humility is the gateway to greater blessing. Do not be swayed by adversities. Trust in my power. I will reward your efforts with abundant blessings. You are strong. Think about the resistance to prayer because you felt you had the situation fully under control. The subtle belief that your logic and planning were sufficient. That resistance was a sign, my reminder that without me, you can achieve nothing. You postponed the communion, missing the truth that my wisdom is your only true guide. Trust in me with all your heart. Pray without ceasing. I am your Creator, your Father in the heavens. Your journey continues. Finally, the tendency to argue or defend your position instead of submitting to gentle counsel. That defensiveness was a sign, my instruction to put down the need to be right and to embrace the purity of simple obedience. You chose the argument, missing the truth that submission unlocks my mighty power. Open your heart wide, welcome the gentle peace I bring. I will never leave you. Believe in me, and you will experience a life rich and fulfilling. My beloved one, I call you now to embrace the call to deeper trust, the sign that demands you to completely eradicate your self-reliance and trust my word over the visible circumstances. Remember the unexplainable circumstance that was too complex for human logic to resolve. That complexity was a sign, my test to see if you would cling to your understanding or lean entirely on my wisdom. You sought to unravel the details, missing the truth that my understanding is vast and my wisdom knows no bounds. Stop relying on humanity, surrender your striving. I will make a way where there seems to be none. I am the God of the impossible. I will guide you. Think about the moment you felt abandoned, the spiritual darkness that was meant to teach you the unwavering nature of my faithfulness. That feeling of loss was a sign, my assurance that I am with you, even when you feel alone, and I never leave your side. You feared the darkness, missing the truth that my light will always shine your way. Trust in me. Your past doesn't concern me. I am here to guide you. My love for you is eternal and unchanging. Recall the instruction to move forward without a full picture of the ultimate outcome, demanding a step of blind faith. That lack of clarity was a sign, my requirement that you walk on water, trusting my word over the visible circumstances. You waited for the blueprint, missing the truth that my plan unfolds with every step of obedience. Move forward with boldness. I will be right there with you. I am your protector and shield. Your journey is still unfolding. Do you remember the personal crisis that was designed to completely eradicate your self-reliance, stripping away every crutch until only my grace remained? That stripping away was a sign, my reminder that in me, you lack nothing, and my power is made perfect in your weakness. You grieve the loss of control, missing the truth that my competence is your greatest security. Be strong and full of courage. Don't let fear take hold of you. I will never forsake you. Think about the necessity to wait patiently for my timing instead of forcing a premature solution. That required waiting was a sign, my instruction that my timing is impeccable, never too late or too soon. You sought immediate relief, missing the truth that waiting builds endurance and secures the victory. Trust in my plan. Your trials are sculpting you. Maintain your faith. I am your God, your Father in the heavens. Finally, the opportunity to walk on water, trusting my word over the visible circumstances, the chance to risk the comfortable for the miraculous. That opportunity was a sign, my declaration that with me, all things are possible. You chose the boat, missing the truth that my power is boundless. Step forward now. Believe in the strength I've given you. I will never abandon you. I love you deeply. My beloved child, let your heart be stilled now, for I speak of the revelation of your identity, the sign that anchors your soul in the truth of who you are in my eyes. Remember the moment you saw yourself, not through the eyes of the world, but as my beloved son/daughter. That profound shift was a sign, my declaration that your value is not in your performance, but in your being mine. You felt the immediate, overwhelming peace, missing the truth that I love you even before your birth. Embrace this truth. You are my greatest creation. I will never leave you. My love for you is eternal. Think about the profound awareness of the spiritual authority I have vested in you through my Son, the power to overcome, to bind, to heal, to speak life. That awareness was a sign, my instruction to rise and walk by faith, exercising the gifts I have given you. You shrank back in fear, missing the truth that my spirit dwells within you, and you possess great power. Walk with courage. I will empower you to surmount any test. You are more than a conqueror. Recall the realization of the specific purpose and unique gifting I have woven into your being. The clarity was a sign, my call to step into the role that only you can fulfill. You doubted your unique contribution, missing the truth that you are unique and there's no need to copy others. Invest your gifts. I will shower you with abundance. Your talent will bloom. You are here for a reason. Do you remember the conviction that your value is not in your performance, but in your being mine? That realization was a sign, my reminder that my love for you is unconditional and my acceptance is unwavering. You sought human validation, missing the truth that you are my cherished treasure. Stop seeking the approval of others. I will always be by your side. My love for you is boundless. Think about the glimpse of your heavenly inheritance that made worldly treasures seem worthless. That glimpse was a sign, my declaration that you are an heir to many blessings and that what awaits you is far more magnificent. You return to the pursuit of the fleeting, missing the truth that I have incredible things waiting for you. Lift your gaze to the sky. Trust in my plan. You will achieve your dreams. Finally, the internal understanding of the depth and breadth of the atonement in Christ Jesus. That profound truth was a sign, my assurance that your sins have been erased and your freedom is complete. You carried the guilt, missing the truth that my grace is sufficient. Receive my word, your chains are shattered. I love you deeply. My beloved child, let us conclude the signs with the final, clear direction, the unmistakable convergence that removes all possibility of doubt. Remember the unmistakable, singular path forward that remained after all alternatives faded away. That clarity was a sign, my definitive instruction that my will for you is simple, clear, and unopposed. You sought complexity, missing the truth that my truth is simple and unambiguous. Trust the clarity, move forward with resolve. I will always be there to help you. Believe in me. Think about the alignment of 3 or more signs, word, counsel, circumstance, pointing to the same action. That convergence was a sign, my most powerful and undeniable confirmation, removing every rational reason for hesitation. You chose the delay, missing the truth that I am accelerating the timing for you. Act now. Do not waver in your faith. I will work wonders in your life. Your victory is certain. Recall the moment the Holy Spirit flooded your heart with absolute certainty and peace. That inner flooding was a sign, my spiritual seal of confirmation, declaring that this action is my will and your next step. You allowed the peace to fade, missing the truth that my peace surpasses all understanding. Embrace the certainty. I will never leave you. I am your protector and shield. Do you remember the simple, clear instruction given during a moment of intense, focused worship? That instruction was a sign, my personal, intimate directive demanding immediate, unreserved obedience. You returned to your day, missing the truth that my wisdom is your only true guide. Seek me with all your heart. I will provide everything you need. I love you deeply. Think about the undeniable conviction that a specific action was the next step of obedience. That conviction was a sign, my final, clear direction. You rationalized the thought away, missing the truth that my commands are your greatest blessing. Walk with me. I will grant you the peace you crave. I am always with you. Finally, the sudden, perfect clarity that resolved all previous confusion and hesitation. That clarity was a sign, my clear declaration that the waiting is over and the time for action is now. Trust the clarity. I am here to guide you. Believe in me, and you will see my power working wonders in your life. My beloved child, let my final words be an unshakable anchor for your soul, my enduring compassion and restoration. I remind you that missing a sign does not negate my unconditional love for you. My love is eternal and unchanging, unwavering, and my grace is sufficient for this lapse and all future ones. I am not angry with you. I am here to lift you up. I give you the call to repentance, not as punishment, but as the gateway to a renewed walk. My forgiveness is limitless, and my arms are always open to you. Come back to me. Your sins have been erased. I promise that my grace is sufficient for this lapse and all future ones, because my power is made perfect in your weakness. I will always be there to support you and strengthen you. I give you the assurance that I will redeem the time you believe you have lost in error and will transform your trials into triumphs. Your battles are my battle, your victory is certain. I will accelerate the timing for you to receive your blessings. I offer you the immediate invitation to re-engage with me in prayer and diligent study of my word. Seek me with all your heart, my ear is attentive to your cries. I will always be there to help you. And finally, I give you the declaration that a new season of discerning my voice begins now, in this very moment. Open your heart, my light radiates in your life. Walk forward with the conviction that I am with you always. I love you deeply. God. Do not move until this truth is sealed. You have arrived at the end, witnessing my compassion and my promise of full restoration, knowing that missing a sign does not negate my unconditional love. But my work in you is eternal, not momentary. It would dishonor the sacrifice of my time and my heart if you did not carry this clarity forward with immediate action. I have declared a new season of discerning my voice begins now. Do not let this revelation fade. Declare your renewed commitment to me now, my child, and live every moment in the profound certainty of my presence. My precious one, we have spoken of the boundary you transgressed, and you have seen the depth of my mercy that calls you back to safety, even after failure. Do not let the enemy deceive you into thinking you must stop at receiving. I call you to become a conduit of the very grace that saved you. I will empower you to be the burning fire that carries this message of restoration to those trapped in cycles of defeat and confusion. Your offering is the faithful foundation that allows this voice of clarity to be heard across the nations. I release my favor over your gift, declaring that no weapon formed against your finances shall prosper, and your storehouses shall never run dry. Listen to my Spirit's prompting for your act of generosity. Sow your seed immediately to join this eternal harvest. Support this mission and secure your multiplication today. My cherished one, you have heard my voice name the whispers and the signs you missed, yet my purpose is never to dwell on the past, but to propel you toward your future. This is your moment of radical obedience and spiritual acceleration. Now, I issue a prophetic command to seal this truth in your heart and in the sight of the world. Rise above the shadow of doubt and claim the clarity I have poured into your spirit. I call you to step out of the silence and declare your resolve to heed my voice now. Let your victory be public. Go and comment below, right now, and speak this eternal truth into existence. I've seen the sign. I will no longer miss my direction. I trust you, my God, and I step into my clear path today. Embrace this new season of discerning my voice, and watch as every obstacle falls away before your unwavering faith. Do not delay. Declare your sight, my child, and seal this conversation with immediate action. Amen.